And we are live. Thank you, Mr. Avry Truex. Thank you very much for joining me on the podcast.
Thanks for having me, man. This is cool to be here.
I honestly, I came across your music relatively recently, and it was on Instagram. And over the past probably 2, 3 years, what's happened is I've got quite big into country music and folk music, and whenever I hear something that sort of grabs my attention, it almost stops me in my tracks. And as soon as I heard it was the track Bluebell, which is one of your new ones, um, it screamed Bob Dylan to me, and it just I was like, who the hell is this? And obviously, after sort of researching into you and going into your discography on Spotify, it was like, oh yeah, I've discovered another one because the ones that I've sort of been listening to recently, Cameron Whitcomb is up there. I really like his music. Zach Bryan, obviously, Oliver Anthony, Chris Stapleton, all the Red Clay Strays, which I've recently sort of getting into. They're becoming a bit stale for me until they release anything new. So I'm always on the lookout for somebody new.
uh,
Um, so I think what I want to start with is your music is unmistakably you, if that makes sense. Where do your influences come from?
it's tough to say just because like I've listened to so much music for so long, and frankly, it's all like one thing that I like to tell people is that all my heroes are dead, but I'm pretty happy about that because then I'll never have to be like in a truck stop state like bathroom and smell the shit they leave as they walk out next to me. Like I feel like that would kind of ruin the whole thing of it all, like you don't want to
Yeah, yeah.
smell that.
They always say
Um,
never meet your heroes.
yeah, and and it's kind of true. Funny enough, like I've met a few people that I've looked up to, like really looked up to, and one of them, man, I swear, like she must have taken like a whole mess of acid before I bumped into her, because like she was looking at me like my face was melting off of my body, and I was like, ah, shoot, this is not a good. And I just smoked a whole bunch of weed too, so I was like, man, I just muffed that so hard, man. Um, but as far as like I usually kind of, it's tough to say just because like I can remember like the first real song I heard that really changed my perspective on what music could be, because like I grew up with what my folks listened to, and like my mom, she was a big Leonard Skinner fan, so it's like I always had
Yeah.
southern rock in me, and my dad, like he loved like Credence and all these, like, really important bands for rock and southern rock. And it wasn't until I don't know where I found this song, but I must have been like maybe like 12 or 13 years old, and I found a Arlo Guthrie cut of this song by Steve Goodman called City of New Orleans. And it's this beautiful song that's about a train. The train is called the City of New Orleans. It was a real train that existed. I believe it connected Chicago down to Louisiana, and that was like the route it ran. And it was an important piece of the rail system. And it wasn't just like a song that was about a train necessarily. It was a song that it told you about all these other facets of life while this train was just moving along the rail. And I remember being grabbed by that because, I mean, for the most part, like I was listening to, like, a lot of the old stuff, the good stuff, but a lot of it was much more like verse, chorus, pop, like get in your head,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
grab something in your head. And this was something that just kind of like took a moment and just expanded that. And I remember from then on out, I always wanted to, like, that was the song that made me want to be a songwriter. And it wasn't until like just a few years ago that I learned in a really embarrassing area. I was hanging out with a bunch of songwriters, and I was like, "Oh man, I love that song, "City of New Orleans" by Arlo Guthrie, the son of Woody Guthrie. It's like one of my favorite songs." And I'm like, "That's a Steve Goodman cut, or he just cut that. That was a Steve Goodman song." And I'm like, "What the hell are you guys talking about?" And it was it was this mind blowing moment for me that I not only did this song mean so much to me, but I was also wrong about it. So
Well, that's the beauty, and I think
yeah.
you hit the nail on the head in terms of I think it gets to a certain, well, it did for me to a certain age where music became less about the sort of melody and, like you said, the chorus and the bridge and the verse and chorus and bridge of it, and it becomes very much about the feeling that it gives you through the story that it tells. I mean, I was, I've got such an eclectic taste in music, and music's been such an important sort of aspect within my life because it's always related to moments. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know whether you've ever been exposed to sort of the house, trance, and happy hardcore scene, and which is proper club music.
Yeah, very, very, very briefly. It was like it was a. It honestly feels like it was a fever dream sort of period of my life. Like it was like just a couple months. Like all my friends grew up on it. I got a couple, like one of my good friends he's from Thailand, and a lot of people in the international community they love that house music,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
club music, and you know, it was cool to go to at first, but I'm sober. I don't drink anymore or anything like that.
Amen.
So
More power.
going to a club, you know, where you don't, you're somebody. So I'm somebody who, when I look at a song, I don't listen to anything but for what it's literally saying to you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then you go into a room where you're already not going to be having fun because you're not drinking. And then like, I don't like people. There's too many of them in most spaces for me. So then there's that, and then there's not a single fucking word being said. It's not like the greatest environment for somebody like me, and that's not to put down. Like I still enjoy a lot of it. Like there's
Yeah, I
this
think
one,
it's
the one
that
guy, Flume, I really like. I think they're excellent. But
it's that sort of evolution. It's like, you know, I used to love it. I used to go out to the raves, and I used to enjoy the sort of the house and the rave scene. And then what happened? Obviously, as most people do, they go through like a negative experience within their life, whether it be losing a loved one or a relationship or job, or in my case, all three at the time.
sorry.
Um, oh, you know, part and parcel of life.
Yeah.
And I discovered a girl called Laura Marling. Now she's very much um, yeah, she's out there in terms of her music, but she's such a good lyricist in terms of the
Mm-hmm.
fact that the words that she sort of spoke and sang um, were really hit home, and I could. It was one of the very, very few albums, minus the Marshall Mathers LP, which was my first record that I ever bought. Um, I listened to it from cover to cover, and
Oh, it was incredible, man. It was
yeah,
so cool. Like I remember the first time I heard it too, man. I was sitting outside by the library with this one fellow that I grew up with. His name was Jackson, and he started playing actually it might have been on Curtain Call that he showed me like the first song, because I think the first song I heard was The Real Slim Shady.
yeah,
And I was blown away that somebody would say all of that. Like I tend to think of myself as a more mild-mannered individual, but like I had never heard anybody talk like that, and it made perfect sense through and through, all the way, and it was
yeah.
incredible. You
I
know?
remember. I remember. So my mum and dad wouldn't buy it for me. They
Uh huh.
obviously. I must have been, I think, 13 at the time.
Mm-hmm.
They wouldn't buy it for me because they were good parents and they didn't want me to
Yeah,
listen to it.
rightfully so.
However, me being the young reprobate that I was, I managed to trick my nana at the time,
Mm-hmm.
my gran, to buy it for me. And I remember listening to it at like volume 2 on a boombox
Mm-hmm.
in her basement. So so she couldn't hear, but I could hear. And then like the tracks that come on, sort of
Yeah.
Stan and then Kim, and you like,
Yeah. Yeah.
as a 13-year-old boy, you're thinking, oh, this is so cool.
Yeah.
um
You see, I was fortunate. I grew up in the era of little earbuds that you could then listen to whatever you wanted on the little device in your pocket, and nobody could see it, so or hear it. So I
yeah,
was
no, I
fortunate in that vein.
wasn't that lucky. Like I went through the full stage. In fact, I was thinking about this the other day. I was going to do a post on sort of useless inventions that were almost like invented for making money, and mini discs was one of them. If you remember mini discs, they were
I
like,
truthfully don't.
no, so you went from cassettes, which were, you know, the old 8-track stuff in America, but you went through the cassette phase into a very brief phase of these well, then you went into CDs, then you had these mini discs which were like a CD and cassette almost combined,
Gotcha.
but they lasted for about 12 months, and then MP3s came along, and it
Yeah,
was
that's what
almost,
happens.
yeah, it was almost
That's
like
what
they were
happens.
created just to make a little bit of money, and then
Yeah.
worthless invention. But so I fell into sort of Laura Marling, and that was the first album that I'd sort of listened to since the Marshall Mathers LP, cover to cover. And like I said, she's very folky, and very sort of esoteric in the way that she sings and the way that she constructs the songs. They're not like
Hmm.
sort of standard, like you've mentioned. It's not like bridge, chorus, verse. It's you don't know kind of where it's going, and each song blends into the next one. So
Hmm.
it's almost like one track of sort of from start to finish. And then I kind of thought, I like this. I wonder what else is out there. And then sort of got turned on to people like Oliver Anthony, people like Zach Bryan, um, and then Cameron Whitcomb and Chris Stapleton, all these sort of, even Teddy Swims. Teddy Swims, when he came along, it was just, and he covered Tennessee whiskey. It was like music for the soul. Um, and and then now I've probably tuned my ear into the fact that when you people like yourself come along, and I hear it and it twigs, and it's like, oh, another one, another person that I can sort of listen to, that is sort of storytelling. And is that the way that you sort of see your music in terms of telling a story? Is that how you write your songs?
I mean, it's tough to say because sometimes, like most of the time, I just kind of start on an idea and then wherever it goes. And that's why I've got hundreds of songs and most of them don't even got a chorus just because I don't feel like they need it a lot of the time. Like Bluebell was one of those cases where I didn't think anything of it personally. It was just like a quick little like it to me like that's one of those songs that's more like commercialized. Like that was as pop as I like to be in my opinion. It was too quick and compact and formulaic in my mind, but I shared it. I shared it. I think to like probably 4 or 5 people, and every single one of them was like, "You have to put this out. You got to put this
Mm,
out." And I sent it to my producer, and he was like, "Yeah, we're gonna mess this up, or we're gonna fix this up a little bit and get it ready for post." And I was just like, "All right, let's do it." And yeah, and since then, like it's doing really well for me right now because I took a little hiatus from putting music out for a good amount of time just because I didn't have my head on straight with a lot of stuff in life, and it's just been since like June I'd say that I've been very consistent with what I'm trying to keep up with doing. And like I've been writing for years. I've been writing for probably close to 5 years now,
wow.
like very religiously every day sort of thing. Um, but I'd say the last 3 is when I've really just like dropped everything else in life. Like I've got like 2 friends. Um, I hang out with my dog, and then I write songs just about all day and all night, and that's all I think about. And listening to old songs too. And I really liked what you said. What you mentioned. I can't remember what you said her name was. The person that you
Laura Marling.
Laura Marling. Okay, I'll have
Yeah,
to make sure you send me her after this. I'd
I
love
will
to
do.
give her a listen.
She is really good. She's got like a really diverse discography as well. So
Oh,
it's
I love
like
that.
it's not just the same on each one.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
the good thing is, like, some of the albums I don't like. I don't like listening to them because it doesn't resonate with me. But then the album, Once I Was an Eagle, that was the first album that I listened to, and
Yeah, some of your
it's,
favorite and your least favorite of them
oh, I
once we're
will,
done
yeah,
here.
I
Yeah.
will do
Well,
100%.
but like what you said about how she makes music to be listened to in totality, it might
Yeah,
be the songwriter in me or the artist in me that like I don't like I've got like one playlist that's like 48 hours and I don't touch it anymore just because like I don't care to. I'd rather hear what an artist has to say in their totality. So that's the way I listen to music now. Is I've like regressed from the stage of like you can have whatever you want and listen to it at any moment to slow down. I want to listen to this album from this artist start to finish sort of thing. Never hit
yeah,
the shuffle or anything like that. I just want to like listen to what this artist thought. And
I hate the shuffle button. It was one of
yeah,
the worst
it's
inventions
made us
ever.
such greedy little pricks, man. It's absurd. Like it's crazy what little things like that can subconsciously do to a person. Like the shuffle button, the iPhone, the me phone, it's
Oh,
my phone.
the
It's little things like that, man,
the
that really grind my gears.
the really bad thing with the shuffle button for somebody like me that's kind of, sort of attention deficit is the fact that a song will come on and I'll kind of accidentally skip it because I'm a bit too eager, but then I
Mm-hmm.
can't go back because I've pressed the shuffle button. So when I go back, it goes to a completely different song.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want to go back to that song. I wanted to go
Yeah.
to the song that I just skipped. So the shuffle button
Yeah.
is the worst invention for me.
Yeah, no, it's not how music was made to be listened to, man. It was made for the greedy consumer to suck it all in. I hate it, but no, I'm a firm believer in listening to records and albums in their totality, projects in their totality. I think that's the way to do it when you're listening to a true songwriter sort of person.
I think that's
Uh,
what the way it used to be done, really. Because I
mm-hmm.
remember, I remember people talking about, you mentioned about Lynyrd Skinner. I love Lynyrd Skinner.
Oh yeah,
Um, and like I was speaking to who was it the other day? Jake, a guy called Jake Swindles, I think it was, and one of his favorite tracks is "Sweet Home Alabama." And
of
I said,
course, timeless.
I love Lynyrd Skynyrd, and generally it's "Sweet Home Alabama" or "Freebird." They're the sort of two that people. But my favorite is "Give Me Three Steps." Now,
That was the first song I ever got. First song I
that's it.
ever bought was "Give Me Three Steps." Man, my
I
mom
love
forced
that
me to
song.
get that song. Man, yeah, because that's a fucking story, man. That is a full
Yes.
ass moment. That is a thing that happened. That's not some guy talking about a girl he met at a bar and then was like, "Oh, I love you so much." It's not that kind of.
Yeah.
It's not that bullshit. It's a real thing. This guy was in a moment where he met this girl and then he tried getting handsy with her and her boyfriend, cop boyfriend, whoever it is, the
Yeah.
hair colored yellow came in, man. Like you can't make that shit up like today. It's not, it
No,
doesn't have, nothing
I,
has that feel,
I
you
think
know?
a lot of us have probably been in that situation as well of like when we were younger of like, oh shit, like I've got myself into a situation here that I don't want to be in.
Yeah.
And you kind of in your head that give me three steps, let me get out of here. I want
Yeah,
to go.
yeah. Absolutely. It's a brilliant song. I'm so glad that you said that. I was like I was going to make you guess my favorite song. It's crazy that you said that. That because that's definitely one of them. But yeah, like that era of music sort of been lost to this formulaic
Mm.
sort of ordeal, like the soundbite sort of system, the clicks, the streams, like all that kind of stuff. Like when it comes with my limited knowledge of record labels and things like that. Oh, actually, I know my fair share, but I don't. I'm not trying to make it sound like I'm all buddy over here with Johnny Music or anything like
Somebody
that.
watching you from the corner.
Yeah, no, it's but what record labels are looking for these days are people that get to the chase in the first 30 seconds of a song, because after
Yeah.
30 seconds, that's when it counts as a stream on streaming platforms, and then that's when it
Right.
becomes monetized. So it's if you can hook somebody in with that chorus by 25 seconds, they're like, oh hell yeah, who cares if this song's going to be a minute and a half of fluff if it's easy to consume.
And
and
yeah, that's sort of, you know, I I'm not naive enough to think and money makes the world go round, and everybody needs a little bit of dollars to or
Absolutely.
pounds to help live, but especially when it comes to stuff like art and creativity and things that people create from their own imagination, it needs to be the art that controls the money rather than the money that controls the art, because otherwise there's no advancement made. It all
Mm-hmm.
becomes generic and similar and blends into one. And like I guarantee when we've mentioned Eminem and all these sorts of artists, Lynyrd Skynyrd, Thin Lizzy, ACD, not one of them when they were the Beatles, even not one of them when they were writing a song and performing a song were thinking, how much is this going to make? It was just a
Yeah.
pure expression of their creativity. And yeah, it is depressing, I must admit. And you know that's why I think I like country and folk a hell of a lot more than other sort of genres is because, take Oliver Anthony for an example. In recent years, he never did it for money. Still not interested in the money. Still doesn't sort of want to sign for a record label or do any.
Yeah.
It's purely for the music and that
Mm-hmm.
creative outlet. And every single song that he's written is you. It gives you the feels. You can
Yeah,
feel that.
I'm not super versed in his music, but like I do appreciate that about him. He's one of those people that I agree. I don't believe is in it for the money, but I also have never shared a room with him. I don't know the energy that he carries, but he doesn't seem to carry that energy. He seems like a good like a somebody who just cares about their words. And I
Hmm.
think that's an important thing. And it's kind of escaping this generation because it's the generation of I want to be famous because my buddy posted a video on TikTok and he got 600,000 views of like some bullshit, and it's like how do I achieve that high sort of thing. So it's like nobody cares what they're doing as long as they're getting the views, they're getting the
Yeah.
listens. So
It,
it's
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 so bad.
tough.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That.
so it's like that's why I find myself less and less like there's this one trope in the publishing community, which is like for publishing songs, that kind of stuff, where they're like, if you're not listening to what people are doing right now, then you're behind. And I'm like, man, that's not fucking true, man. Because I guarantee I could hear one Morgan Wallen song and I know the next 40 that are about to come out after it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like I guarantee that, man. I find myself like my favorite songwriter in history is this fellow by the name of Townes Van Zandt. He was from the like he kind of he got his start in the late folk era, so he was kind of late to the show, and he's like this country folk. Uh, he was a genius. He was a bona fide genius in his understanding of the English language, and um, like my standard now for when I write a song is, could I play this in front of Townes Van Zandt? That's what I think. He's
Wow.
passed away since, but that's my standard for if I think if this is a song that I would record or share or put out or anything for that matter. If I start a song these days, I don't finish it until it sounds like something I would want to perform for somebody I look up to.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. Really,
Yeah.
I think if a lot of people used that sort of mantra in whatever aspect of life they were in, the world would be a little bit better of a place.
It'd be a little at least a little more like cohesive,
Mm.
like
Yeah,
less crumbling from the foundation.
it's like the when you're young and say you say something and somebody says, "Would you kiss your mother with that mouth?" It's like, well, it's sort of that sentiment throughout life, and I kind of second that sentiment with this sort of venture of the podcast. That I
Hmm.
started. I've recorded so many episodes recently, and it's my sort of fallback is, would I, when I'm tired and I'm thinking, oh my, like for instance, so today it's gone live today. I've recorded. I had to upload the podcast, but then I played
Hmm.
hockey earlier today as well. So hockey,
Wonderful. How'd that go?
we drew 3-3. So
It's all right.
no
Can't all be
loss.
wins. Can't
No,
all be
exactly.
wins.
So it was a good game. I enjoyed it, but then getting back and getting ready and getting set and this, that, the other. And then I sort of think to myself, well, would I do this for free? Would I speak to somebody like yourself for free? Would I do it if it wasn't sort of watched or monetized or filmed? And 100%, the answer's always been yes. As soon as that becomes a no, then I'll have to sort of have a reevaluation. But
Yeah.
as it stands now, yeah, I love it. I do it for free, and yeah,
Well,
long
we've
may
only
it
been talking
continue.
for 25 minutes so far, so you don't know yet.
Yeah, it might change. I highly doubt it though. So yeah, I obviously doing my research and looking to yourself. I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, you were a college athlete.
Yes, no, I was a big time lacrosse player back in high
Oh wow.
school. I loved lacrosse, man. That was my whole guy, was being like the lacrosse douchebag kind of fellow. Because frankly, I was pretty good with what I did, and I had a wonderful coaching staff, and I played club lacrosse, and then I was recruited to play at this school in Connecticut College. And before I got to college, man, I accidentally took a substance that just blew me out of my mind. I could not. I think you probably know. I'm
Uh,
cool to talk about it, right? Or
yeah, yeah, go for it. Yeah, yeah.
cool, yeah. So I accidentally, I believe it was, smoked DMT and some weed, and made me realize I didn't care about being that douchebag anymore. I was like, man, like I love music so much, and um, I love all these creative aspects, and I don't feel like I don't feel like I've been going through the motions of doing what's easiest for me. Like
Mm,
sports was easy for me. You know, it wasn't like, I'm not saying I was a superstar athlete, but it was the conventional route for me, you know,
yeah.
like the sports into like economics or some sort of business like background sort of thing. And that just didn't sit right with me. So I think I did one actual practice of collegiate lacrosse, and then I told the coach, I was like, "Hey, man, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm sorry." Like, and I was supposed to start my freshman year apparently,
Wow.
um, and I was just like, "Yeah, I can't do this anymore. I'm done being this. I'm done playing the sport," you know, and you know, it's been a creative venture all the way out since then. Like, granted, there has been times like I slipped back into thinking I was going to play lacrosse for this one Division 1 school my sophomore year, but that never came to fruition. And then from then on out, well, actually, from then on out, I was a little bit of a drunk, and then I was like, you know what, I should if I put all of the energy that I put into, you know, not being able to think that I do already, if I put that energy into something creative, like I could actually make something of what I wanted, you know. And I was in this very depressive state because I knew there was more that I wanted to be doing, but I wasn't doing any of it. Like I was just avoiding. I was using substances to avoid doing what I wanted to do, and like using them as an excuse to avoid actually taking the steps to live the life I wanted to live. And eventually, I was like, yeah, I just have to sober up. I can't be doing this anymore. And it's been like I've been sober now for about 3 years, and
Yeah.
it's been just nonstop focus on my artistic endeavors since then,
So
and it's been wonderful.
what do you think? So I'm with you on that. Mine's just over 4.5 years now
Oh,
sober.
congratulations, my
Yeah,
friend.
you too. And I think, yeah, I want to ask you, what do you see as the biggest change? What, obviously minus the sort of being drunk and that
Yeah,
sort of
yeah.
tie to it. What's the biggest change you've noticed in your life?
Well, I hardly smile anymore, which is definitely definitely a tougher thing, I'd say. No, I'd say biggest change for me since I quit drinking, man. Man, I'm just not the guy I was, you know. Like I already was taking steps away from being the lacrosse douchebag, but I was still not the greatest guy, not the guy I wanted to be. And you know, I just don't have like that rake in me, that anger in me, that
Mm.
like I just don't have any of that anymore, you know. It's just kind of all melted away with that. And then I quit smoking weed probably about 6 months ago, maybe a little, sometime around 6 months ago. And since then, like my anxiety's gone away. I've been able to just be like very clear. Like I'm just very clear all the time. And I
Clarity, yeah.
it's interesting how much of what society is tells you to go find something to escape through, you know,
Mm.
and how escapism is treated as relaxation, when in actuality, in my opinion, it's just prolonging an issue, or avoiding something that you probably should do, sort of thing.
Yeah, I think it's the so most people, or most people that I know from around where I live, which is the north of England, they work in jobs that they're not overly fond of. They and then they're working around people that they wouldn't socialize with outside of work. They're not
Mm-hmm.
sort of they're kind of forced to be in close proximity with these people that they don't particularly like. They're in an environment and a job that they don't particularly like. So to kind of help with the pain of having to deal with that to survive because of the finance element, it's either drugs or alcohol that sort of come into play, or other practices that are just as damaging. And I think that to an extent, I used to come home from work, and it was a job that I loved, and but it was stressful,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like that. Them 2 cans, 3 cans of beer of an evening were the signal to now you can relax and now you can
Mm-hmm.
chill out, and using it as almost like a therapeutic tool. And then when you realize that obviously it doesn't help you in any stretch of the imagination. You mentioned clarity, and you're clear and sharp. That is one of the biggest things that I've noticed, is the fact that there's no brain. I wake up in the morning and I'm on it, and there's no sort of period of having to wake up and rub my eyes, and I'm not awake until like 10:30 in the morning now. I'm up at 7, half 6, 7 o'clock, and I'm wide awake and I'm
Mm-hmm.
ready to start the day, and there's no sort of hangover. And that's the thing that stops me drinking, or
Yeah,
stops
no.
stops me going back, is that complete and utter paralyzation of fear, of that feeling that after, the tight
Mm-hmm.
head and the sort of grogginess. And every
Mm-hmm.
time I think about it, it completely stops me in my tracks.
Yeah.
Um,
Tell me, do you like feel like the cessation to drink and stuff like that ever? Or
you know what? Not generally. I did do.
mm-hmm.
For the first probably 12 months, and it wasn't anything like a beer or anything. It was always like maybe a glass of red wine with a nice
Oh,
meal, or
yeah, man.
a glass of whiskey of an evening that I used to
Mm-hmm.
enjoy. And I hadn't for probably 2 years, up until I was walking out of the studio, and I just got my mouth salivated just at the thought of a glass of whiskey that evening, and I was
Mm-hmm.
it shocked me to the point where I kind of stopped and went, "Whoa, where did that come from?"
Yeah.
Because it wasn't a particularly stressful day. It
No,
wasn't.
yeah, it's just one of those things. So,
It
so
just
do you?
came.
How do you like do you try any of the non-alcoholic beers? Do you like those?
Yeah, yeah. In fact, after hockey today, I had two of the San Miguel,
Yeah, dude,
Zero.
I'm a sucker for them, man. I think they're
They're good.
wonderful. Yeah, dude,
They-
like my friends will sit around that I guess weren't as much of a drinkers as I was at the time, and they'll be like, "How the hell are you drinking that shit?" And I'm like, I like the taste of beer at this point, man. I don't know what else to tell you, but like the biggest thing that sucks, at least I haven't found. I have not found a good non-alcoholic wine and a good non-alcoholic whiskey. Like those
Well,
are the tough
whiskies.
ones.
Yeah,
Yeah,
whiskey. I found a half decent red wine,
gotcha.
but it's from a place in other supermarkets available. But it's from a place in the UK called Tesco's,
Okay, I've heard
um,
of it.
and they do a non-alcoholic Malbec, which is really
Okay.
really good. Other than that, the rest of them just taste like expensive fruit juice.
Yeah, man, it's ridiculous. How can they even like quantify it as a
I
thing? It's
know.
bullshit, is what it is, man. Like
Somebody's
they,
put Vimto in.
yeah, you're putting Welch's in a glass bottle and selling it upcharge for $25. It's ridiculous, man. Like, what fools are falling for this?
Yeah,
Like it's ridiculous. No,
that,
that
that's
wine
it.
is the one thing about drinking that I truly miss is wine.
Yeah.
I loved drinking wine. I thought that was, like in my mind, the greatest evening was one with a lady you love and a glass of wine. Like that's as good as it gets, man.
It is, and
Or a
the
cigarette while you're just, all that. Like forget about it. That's as good as it gets, man.
the danger for me with red wine is, and this is why I could never go back to sort of having just a glass of red wine, because it's never ever just a
Mm-hmm.
glass of red. It's so Moorish to me, to the fact that before you know it, the bottle's gone, and you think, "Where's another
Oh
bottle?"
goodness, yeah. Right before I got sober, I did um Sober October, which was something that like Joe Rogan started. And I used to be a
Yeah, yeah,
big
yeah.
Joe Rogan fan. I used to never miss an episode, sort of thing. And it was around the time that I'd just broken, or my girlfriend and I had just separated, and I just dropped out of school. I just started working full time, and you know, like I was just not in a good place, kind of thing. And I was definitely like abusing alcohol too much. I went through like a month and a half straight of doing mushrooms, like every couple days. Like I was just not. I wasn't doing good things. And
Mm.
I was like, you know what? I'm going to take October to myself. And like, dude, I felt so good. And October 31st came around, man. And I stayed up all night till midnight. And I ran to not the drugstore, the liquor store. And I got 2 bottles of this wine that had Snoop Dogg on it. And I was like, man, it's got Snoop Dogg on it. Like how bad, like it's going to be wonderful. How could it be bad for you? And I drank those 2 bottles of wine in record time. And then I woke up like at like 5 in the morning on my bathroom floor. Like it was just like a horrible, horrible, horrible night, man. And I like immediately, like literally, it hit midnight, and the cork comes out of the bottle, and I just jumped to it. And so it's like one of those things for me. It's like I have a very hard time with portion control with things.
Mm.
Like if I'm drinking water, I will drink it incredibly fast. Like it's like
Yeah, yeah.
anything I have. It's almost like I'm a dog. Like you ever seen like a dog eat
Oh,
something? Like it just
I've
keeps
got a
going.
bulldog. I've got a
Yeah,
bulldog,
yeah, yeah.
and he's murdered for that with
Yeah,
food and water.
yeah, anything you give them, like it just fucking right through it, you
Yeah,
know. And that's kind of what one of my issues with things. So it's like whenever I have things that I like, I have a hard time not using them. So like when
that's
my the hardest one for me these days is cigarettes. I
mm,
know smoking is a horrible thing, and I don't really smoke too heavily when I do, but it'll be enough that it's like, oh come on, man! Like, what the hell are you doing? Like,
yeah.
like you haven't even had breakfast yet. Like, come on.
No, well, that's the thing for me. Like you mentioned in terms of portion control. So over the past 4 years,
Hmm.
and you mentioned mushrooms. It's like that's I've gone through sort of psychedelic. I tried all sorts of therapy and
Hmm.
that's helped. And psychedelic therapy was the one that sort of um, made the biggest changes in my life without actually telling me to make the biggest changes in my life.
Hmm.
And it was very, very strange. So alcohol was the first thing to go. Oh, was it?
Absolutely.
No, caffeine was the first thing to go.
Oh, dude, I'm a sucker for caffeine. It's the one I
Now,
can't let go of.
well, the thing is,
Hmm.
I wasn't necessarily bad for the coffee. It
Hmm.
was the Coca Cola. So I would have like
Oh, yeah, understood, man.
three bottles of Coca Cola like a
Oh
day,
my god,
like
man.
so bad. And what turned me onto it? There was a study done with spiders,
Okay.
and they put these spiders under the influence of different sort of substances, so like cocaine, caffeine, LSD, alcohol, all the, and caffeine was the worst when they did the webs. The caffeine was the worst web. It was just like
Hmm.
so sporadical. So I thought, right, you know what? I'll try it for a month. I'll try and see if I can just stop for a month. And 2 days in, I was on the sofa, shivering, cold sweats, like a junkie, like full blown. And every piece of information that I read about it said, "Don't try and go cold turkey because it's really, really bad for you."
With
And I was like,
caffeine, I didn't know
"Yeah,
that. I did
I
not know
didn't."
that.
But for like 4 days, I was on the
Hmm.
sofa, unable to move. It was horrible. So ever since then, I've just not gone back. I've just not wanted to touch it because it was that bad coming off.
Yeah.
Then I won't. And then it was alcohol.
And how have
And
your webs been since then?
very neat and very tidy. They're all over.
Wonderful, man. They catching flies. That's
That's
good,
it.
man. That's good.
Uh,
That's good.
so yeah, and then alcohol came around, which was another strange sort of experience. So we were on a hockey tour, which is, I'm presuming you play in lacrosse. You go on a tour, and it's all like it's just one big party for a weekend,
Yeah.
where
Yes. More or less.
everybody gets drunk, and we turned up on the Friday, we drunk on the Friday, we drunk on the Saturday, and then we're meant to drink on the Sunday. Like one of the rules of tour is you must consume an alcoholic beverage before 9 a.m. So Sunday came around, and I was like, I woke up and went, "Nah, I'm done. I
Yeah.
don't want. I've done this for 17 years. This is now boring. I don't want to do it
Yeah.
anymore." And I've never
Yeah.
touched a drop since.
Yeah.
And then the most recent one was nicotine.
Gotcha.
Mine was vaping.
Hmm.
Um, I went from cigarettes to vaping. and I'd vaped for probably 13, 14 years, like
Gotcha.
since it first came out. That was brutal. That was the
Yeah, dude.
hardest thing.
And it's hard because it's everywhere, man. Like,
Mm.
it's like with alcohol, you can convince yourself in the moment. It's like, yeah, you know what? I don't want to feel like that tomorrow. But with cigarettes or nicotine, it's like, I want to feel like that now. And it's like, there's
Yeah.
no like immediate downside feeling to it, like with alcohol or with something like that. Or so it's like, it's just in those moments, it's so hard. Like, I had a friend who came up from Los Angeles this past week, and he brought a pack of cigarettes with him, man. And like the whole time, I'm like, "Ah." And I'm sitting there driving us places, like white knuckling the steering wheel, like, come
just,
on, you're fine, you don't need it, man.
just a
Yeah,
taste. Just a
yeah,
taste.
it's so hard. But no, like I stopped smoking last. I was out busking up in this place called Portsmouth, New Hampshire,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
this real sweet, pretty girl came by, and she was taking pictures of me and stuff like that while I was playing. Like, she's a professional photographer, and we got to speaking for a moment. She's like, you should quit those, right? And I was like, you know what, like, aside from making you look cool, which they do, it's like, what's it actually doing for you? Like, there is not a single upside aside from looking cool.
Mm. That's it.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
just do what Kojak did and get a lollipop instead. You'd be
Yeah,
okay then.
there you go, man. But then my sugar's gonna go through the fucking roof. I'm gonna have a dum dum in my mouth every 2 seconds.
so so like you mentioned sort of
Hmm.
the DMT and the mushrooms. How did that sort of change your trajectory then? Was it just sort of, because I know sort of this the psychedelic
Hmm.
elements changed my
Yeah,
trajectory.
yeah.
Was it sort of, did it show you what you should be doing or what you wanted to do, or
For me, like with the DMT experience, or again, I'm not 100% sure it was DMT. Just like from everything I've heard, it's what
yep.
DMT felt like, and like just how unbelievable the experience was. It's like that's the only way I can, like, I felt like there's like this slingshot metaphor that's
Hmm.
a lot of the times talked about. I'm not sure if you've tried it yourself.
Not yet.
Um,
It's on my
Gotcha.
list.
Listen, man, if I knew what, I would never have done it. Like
Hmm.
it was. I lived an infinite amount of lives.
Well,
Like
that
it
time
wasn't just
dilation, yeah.
mine. Yeah, and it wasn't just mine. It was like blades of grass and like random people, and like then I'd relive like my life several times, and like I came back with like vivid memories of things that just like don't matter, but I could remember them just because they'd happened so many times again and again, kind of thing. And
Wow.
for me, it was more so. It didn't tell me the path to go on. It just hit me with this more open ended. The path you're on right now is not the right one, and stop constraining yourselves to the path that don't constrain yourself to the path of least resistance, because that won't necessarily help you grow to where you want to, or go to where you want to go in life. Find the things you want to find. And I mean, at the time, I also wasn't like really dating a girl that was great for me or anything like that either. And yeah, there's just all these pressures. You're an 18-year-old
Yeah,
old
yeah, yeah.
kid. It's like you got to go out and you got to take the world by the horns. And meanwhile, you're, fucking just figured out, like, hey, man, like, drinking's a good time. Like, it's like there's not that much that you really care about, and there's all this pressure to care about something at that point in your life. So,
Yeah, there is. There's that. I remember. Obviously, the school system's slightly different over here than it is in the States. I lived in Hoboken for some time.
oh, I went to Monmouth University
Oh
in
right, yeah, yeah,
West
yeah.
Long Branch for a little while. Yeah,
Yeah, well,
yeah.
I used to work in Montclair and
Oh,
live
okay,
and live in Hoboken. In
cool,
fact,
man.
I used to work at the Soccer Dome, which was across from the restaurant from the Sopranos,
Oh, no way.
which is
Huh.
on the
How
corner. Yeah,
funny.
so
Yeah, how
I
funny.
used to work there and then live in Hoboken, and then
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it was awesome. And I think in terms of the school system, there's especially from my experience over here, is there's such a big pressure to figure out, what do you want to do, what do you want to be when you grow up, what do you want, what career do you want to go in, and I've always felt that pressure of like, right, well, I need to figure my life out. I need to figure
Mm-hmm.
out what I want to do, where I want to go. And don't get me wrong, I had sort of 17 years in an industry that I enjoyed, and construction. I was good at it, and I enjoyed it, and started, work for people, started my own company, and subsequently that failed. And then it was sort of that reevaluation of like, it's not really me. It's not really. I've always been creative. Like I was speaking to somebody, I think it might have been Adrian, who's a mycologist, funnily enough. And I was speaking to him, and it was like the two lessons at school that really sort of lit a fire within me were art and sport. They were
Mm-hmm.
the two, and but that was 2 hours out of a full week that I got to do something that I actually enjoyed.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so for you, I'm presuming throughout your upbringing and your childhood, music was sort of a talent or hobby, or did you learn to play the guitar later on in life, or what was?
Yeah. So I really wanted to learn how to play guitar when I was young, but six strings seemed too difficult. So my grandmother, she got me a ukulele around the time I was like, probably around the time I was around like 12, maybe 13. And I figured out the ukulele that year. And I told my dad, I was like, Dad, I really want a guitar for Christmas. And that year I got a Yamaha guitar for Christmas. And I taught myself, or I transposed what I learned from ukulele to guitar, and it carried over pretty all right, pretty easily. And then from there, it was just kind of like, it was like I loved the Beatles and stuff like that
Mm,
growing up. So I was learning all these Beatles tunes. It was learning all these like Gary Wright, is that his name? Yeah, Gary Wright, Stones, David Bowie. I love David Bowie,
mm,
Elton John. A lot of those kind of guys for like a good period of time. Something where I could be like, this isn't what everybody's listening to, but it's enough that if I play it, at like at a fire, people are gonna be like, that's what I wanted to hear tonight.
yeah,
Kind of
yeah, yeah.
thing. And I'd say it really wasn't until I was like 19 that I was like, yeah, no, I'm 100% like, this is what I want to do, but I have no idea how to get there. Or
Mm.
I'd known I'd always like, it always been cool, like the notion of like being a songwriter kind of thing. But, there's no path for it. Like the only
No.
path for it is to sprint through the thicket as fast as you can. And then you can look behind you and see, oh, that's the way that I ran. Like there's no like path, So especially when you're some knucklehead 18-year-old who doesn't know shit about shit. So
That's true. There's no like anything in sort of the creative arts, whether that be music,
mm-hmm.
film, anything along those lines. I suppose it's one of those where there isn't really a path until you do something or create something that's worthy of
Yeah.
notoriety, and you
Yeah.
find that audience. And I think, for instance, with the podcast, the thing I can sort of relate it to is my own internal battle is like, I'm going to put this out there,
Mm-hmm.
and you know the people that I know, a lot of people that I know have been very, very supportive, but then a lot of people that I know might think, oh well, this is a bit shit, and this is not my, and then I kind of get worried about that, thinking, oh well, and it kind of makes you second guess whether to put it out or whether to even attempt it. And then you think, well, no, if I just put it out, the audience that resonate with me and that understand me and the people that get it, they will come through. and
Mm-hmm.
and and it must be the same for your music, is the fact that you put out your creative soul out there, and it might not be everybody's cup of tea. If
Oh man, yeah, 1,000,000%. I was sitting in some restaurant with, dude, like my two best friends in the whole fucking world the other day, and this pop song comes on, and I know he did this just to piss me off, but he turns to me and he goes, "Why don't you just make shit like this, man?" And I'm like, "Fuck you, dude! Like, come on, man! Like." Yeah, it's very easy, but it's also because you have to think about it. For a lot of people, they haven't taken the time to develop the interest to understand the route that there is a route forward. It's just
Mm.
not, you know, like after you run through the thicket long enough, you start to see there's a field, like the thicket, like, you know, and like you can sort of navigate your way through the field. And then you can see, like, you know, miles away that there's like short grass, and you just got to get to that short grass. And then eventually you see at the end of the short grass, there's a lake, and you can get a drink of water for a little while. And then you just keep on keeping on it. And for most people, they look at something like this amorphous sort of industry, anything in the creative space, and they just see the thicket for the thicket. You know, they don't
Yeah,
think
yeah.
like they haven't even brushed the side of it with their hands. You know, so how could they see through to understand anything? So that's
Yeah,
sort
you'll
of how
never
I
know.
reaffirm myself with it, because it's like, man, like most of the time, like there's so few people that have ever like said something to me with like malicious intent
Mm.
towards my career. It's most of the time it's just people that don't know, they just like don't say things the right way. So it's like, oh, you're still doing the music thing. It's like they don't mean anything by it. They're just
No.
they're just they're just they're just morons.
Yeah, well, they're
You know?
not your
Yeah.
audience.
Yeah,
They're not
exactly.
the people that are going to
Mhm.
consume what you put out there. And it's a
Mhm.
really good analogy that I might steal that off you, Avery, in
Man,
terms
go
of
right ahead.
running through the thicket. It is a really good analogy, and too many people are sort of hemmed in by that invisible boundary, not knowing
Mhm.
what's on the other side. And then, it is sad that they go through all of life, and this was one of the big motivators for me. It was during one of my sessions, therapeutic sessions, of like the message came through of put up or shut up. And and ultimately, I've mentioned it before, I decided at the time, I thought, right, well, I'll shut up. That's the easy thing. I'll shut up.
Yeah, it's
I
convenient,
won't.
man.
Yeah, convenience, and convenience is the death of creativity and purpose.
Mm.
And ultimately, the universe must have thought, no, 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 you're not meant to give up, you're meant to put up. So I'm going to drop all these things in your path to
Mhm.
make sure that you actually end up doing what I've got planned for you to do.
Absolutely. But there's also this notion that people get, where they think if they start doing what they want to do, that life is just going to be easier for them because they're doing
No,
what they
no.
want to do, you know? And when they don't immediately see results, excuse me, sorry, they just give up, man. Like they
Mm.
just, or they cower away from the situation. And I was just having this talk with my friend from LA. He's a pop artist from out there, and he was telling me, like, he was like, because I haven't seen him, and I probably see him about once a year, give or take, because that's what happens when you become an adult. And
Yeah. Yeah.
and he's like, so how you doing, man? And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine, man, just just doing my thing. And he's like, frankly, the first thing I saw when I saw you, I was like, you seem depressed. And I was like, no, I don't necessarily know if it's that. I just think that I'm so focused on what I'm doing right now. And then we kept going into it. And like, I have had a kind of rough year with some family stuff. But then he kind of said to me something like, dude, like, you got to understand, you're not going to have everything you want. Like, you have to lose so much, of yourself before you get to that point. And it was specifically with what you're doing. Like, when you devoted yourself to something, you lose all these other things. Like, man, I
Mm.
haven't had a date in probably close to 3 years. I don't care. I would love to, but it's like, I'm so focused on becoming a better version of myself, and just creating, like, I spent a lot, I was a serial dater growing up. Like, I could never be alone with my thoughts for more than 12 seconds. And now I've just like taken the time to appreciate being alone for what it is, sort of thing. And like, I don't see friends very much. I see like one buddy like maybe once every 2 weeks, once a week kind of thing. But it's like, all I do is sit and I write songs. Like, I'm a boring guy, man. My exciting part of my day is the cup of coffee I have in my morning, and then I sit down and I write all day, and then I think about. Then I get my camera out and I'll shoot some content or something like that. Um, it's like the path to achieving what you want to achieve does suck as well. It's not it's not
No,
everything you want. It's all, rainbows and butterflies.
there's a lot to be said for that solitude, like, in terms
Mm-hmm.
of being alone. And I've done it over the past probably three years or so. Is that being alone with your thoughts? It is a very, very difficult thing to do. It's
Mm.
really, really difficult to, because anybody that is creative, you're your own worst critic. You think everything that you make is is shit,
Yeah,
and then you ruminate over it of how much better it could be if you'd have done X, Y, Z. When in fact, what you created in the initial instance was awesome. But that's that solitude helps you build that relationship with yourself.
absolutely.
We focus so much on putting our own self-worth and value in the relationships that we have, whether that be
Mm-hmm.
with parents or friends or family or colleagues, when in reality we never cultivate, not many people cultivate that relationship with themselves,
Yeah.
which creates that's almost that security.
And I
um
think, yeah, and I think that that's like sort of the precursor towards, like a lot of people, they think that, all right, I want to be a songwriter, I want to be an actor, I want to be in some sort of creative space. They immediately think that they have to figure out how to apply value to themselves for somebody else to see. Like,
yeah.
how do I market myself to somebody else? When in actuality, what you need to do is fucking take the time to sit there and look at yourself in the mirror, like sit 6 inches away from yourself in the mirror, and figure it out. Like, what do you have to offer? And
Mm,
if you're coming up with nothing, then don't fucking waste your time trying to market that.
yeah,
Stare at yourself until you find that, because it's there, and it
everybody's got
just
it.
absolutely, it's there. But if you're not willing to take the time to stare at yourself, you're not going to find it. And then that's how you get all the, like, this, crap pop country music and all that shit, man. That bro country, man. Like,
Oh, Beyonce country music, which is like
yeah.
absolutely dreadful. Chris Williamson said something. I don't know whether you know Chris Williamson.
I'm not familiar.
He has a podcast called Modern Wisdom. It's
Okay,
really interesting. He's been on Rogan a couple of times,
cool.
um, and he said, like, everybody. I'm going to butcher
You're
it,
good, man.
but he basically said something like along the lines of, um, everybody will sort of chastise you for chasing your dream, but then as soon as you achieve it, everybody will remind you of how lucky you are.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody understands that hard work, it does pay off,
Yeah.
and you see some of the actors like that, um that only ever made their big break when they were 50, 60 years
Yeah,
old.
yeah. That's like, I'm a huge fan of comedians. I love old comedians. And Rodney Dangerfield was one of those guys that he
Yes.
didn't make it till his 50s, I think. And a lot of people, I never met the fella, but a lot of people said that he was like really bitter towards a lot of the younger guys that had a swagger about them
Mm.
because of that sort of thing. And he was incredibly humble to those that were like humble as well. Um, and I think that there's something to be said for that, like that you there's humility in it as well, I suppose, is what I'm trying to get there. I kind of lost my train of thought. um
It's that
yeah.
grind. It's that sort of, if say, so let's take comedians. If you've worked hard and you've done the circuit for 40 years and you finally make it, and then
Hmm.
somebody comes up and gets sort of it handed to them on a silver platter at
Some
20
Matt
years
Rife
old.
of the world.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, this is no slight about Rife. I find him quite funny. Like, in fact, one of my favorite guys. Oh, I can't. Honestly, I'm absolutely useless with names. He's the comedian with autism and ADHD that has like a nervous tick. Oh, what's his name? Well, AJ Wilkinson.
I'm
He
not
is.
familiar.
Oh, he is hilarious. Like, so funny. Um, but I suppose there is, like you said, it breeds that humility in that journey, that struggle. And I think we all as humans, when somebody has had that struggle,
Mm-hmm.
there's that little bit more of a respect for, or everybody can sort of enjoy the fact that they've finally made it. That,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
you know that.
Mm-hmm.
Can you believe he's made it at 50? That's awesome. But he's gone through this 30 years of turmoil. Everybody loves that sort of journey of rags to riches, and that's why we like films like Rocky and stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
um, what's the other one with the horse one, Secretariat,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
stuff like that. It's
Mm-hmm.
that rags to riches underdog story. Everybody
Mm-hmm.
loves it. Um,
Absolutely, because everybody sees a bit of themselves in it. The underdog
mm,
is the unspoken hero of America. It's
yeah,
every person, or I'm sorry, not just I'm sorry, I forgot. You're not an
it's
American.
okay.
Yeah, that's right.
American,
Yeah, of
the
everybody. Yeah,
world.
America. Yeah, yeah. My American mind goes America, the world, of course. No, God. Uh, um, but there is something to be said for the everybody sees themselves in the underdog. It's like
Mm,
that's at every stage in their life, everybody sees themselves as I have more inherent value than what people see around me, and that's why I feel like people can grab onto it so easily. It's just such an palatable quality that when you see like an underdog succeed, it's wonderful. Like a
mm,
big trope in the music or in I guess it's probably not just the music industry, but like every overnight success was 5 years in the making, 10 years in the making, sort of thing. And
yeah.
it's true. Like especially with actors, you see it all the time. You'll be watching some like shit film that was like shot on a potato with a budget of $35, and you'll be like, holy shit, there's Willem Dafoe. And it's like,
Yeah, yeah.
nobody saw that film until now, kind of thing.
See, like
And
one of my, you mentioned Willem Dafoe. One of my favorite movies of all time is The Boondock Saints.
dude, I just watched that a month ago for the first time. I was just
What a
trying to get
movie!
my incredible movie. I was trying to get my brother to watch it with me last night. Funny enough, incredible movie. Like
Yeah,
you talk about elegance and taste in an actor, and you get Willem Dafoe and Boondock Saints, man. That
yeah.
is.
It's
Mm.
it is, and Boondock Saints 2 as well. Which there is
I haven't seen the second. I
yeah,
didn't
there
know
is a
about the
second
second
one.
until I watched the first, and I saw the second.
But like that, Norman Reedus and I can't remember the other guy's name, but Billy Connolly's in that as well. At the end,
Hmm.
what a comedian he is,
Right,
and
right.
what a struggle he's had, and
Yeah.
it's just you see it all. Like I still use it, in fact, to this day, because every time I finish hockey today,
Mm-hmm.
catch you on the
Catch
flip
on the flip,
side.
man. Yeah,
Catch you on
man.
the flip side every single time, and I use that, and that comes from Boondock Saints.
Yeah, my
But
my
yeah, it's such a good movie.
yeah, my producer every time he calls me, every time he goes, "How you doing, man?" And I say strikes and gutters from Big
Yeah,
Lebowski.
yeah,
I
yeah.
love that movie. That's a cult classic, man. I freaking love that thing. I've showed it to
I,
so many people, and they've sat there just stone cold, just smug the whole time, just like, Avery, what the
no,
hell is this? And I'm like, man,
it's
it's so good.
yeah. I'm a massive, massive movie buff. I
Mm-hmm. Likewise.
love watching movie, and I've recently there's two movies that I've just watched recently that I've kind of not come across before, but they're old movies. One is Phenomenon with John Travolta, which
Okay.
is unbelievable.
I've heard that. I've heard that.
It's
I think
such
that's
a
where Tarantino got him for Pulp Fiction was from that, I believe.
right, was
I
it?
believe. I'm not 100% sure, but I believe that's where he saw him and was like, yeah, that's where like this could be our serious guy kind
He
of
is
thing.
good. He is
Yeah.
really good in it. And then the other one was Frequency with Richard Gere and Jim Caviezel.
What's that about again? I think I've seen
So
that.
so basically, the Jim Caviezel is the son of Richard Gere, and Richard Gere is a firefighter,
Oh, the
dies, and he
baseball
has
movie. Isn't it
no,
baseball?
no, he has a ham radio, and the
Yes, yes,
ham
I do
radio
remember this. Yes,
is the
I
sort of go back in
Yep.
time and
Yep.
saves him, and
That's
this
an excellent movie, man.
such a great movie.
Yeah, excellent
Um,
film, man.
but
I
I
haven't seen
don't,
that in years.
I
Wow.
know, but I've gone through sort of 37 years of my life and not seen it
Mm-hmm.
at all.
Yeah.
And then when I find these little gems that are old like that
Yeah.
it's all awesome.
I've been on
Um,
a big Clint Eastwood kick
oh,
lately. So I've been like I just rewatched like Kelly's Heroes and all those like old
yeah,
ones. I just watched Hang 'em High last night, 2 days ago. I
it's
don't know. It's just like a different
unbelievable.
era. Yeah, but it's like again, you're watching Kelly's Heroes, and then all of a sudden there's Don Rickles in it, and it's like, what the hell is Don
Yeah,
Rickles doing
Don
in this, man?
Rickles.
They're like, come
Wow.
on.
Well, it's
Yeah.
like so. You look at Clint Eastwood. One of my favorite. Like I love Fistful of Dollars, Few Dollars More.
Oh,
All
dude.
amazing. The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Incredible,
There,
man.
Sergio Leone westerns are
Mm-hmm.
second to none. But then one of my very very close. Well, the Outlaw Josie Wales as well. But um, Unforgotten with Morgan Freeman and Clint
I
Eastwood
was
in.
just about to watch. That's from like '86 or something like that, I
Yeah.
think.
Now
Yeah.
Now, forgive me if I'm wrong, and people in the comments will probably call me out if I'm wrong. But I think after the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, or Fistful of Dollars, one of the Sergio Leone's, Clint Eastwood got offered that script,
Oh, I didn't
and
know that.
he denied it because he wasn't old enough.
Huh.
However, he
Yeah, he
must.
waited on it.
I
Yeah.
think he made a deal to wait on it until he was old enough to play the part.
God, could you
Um,
imagine the fucking gamble those guys took on that? They're like, yeah, we
yes.
gotta, we gotta hope this guy doesn't get in a car accident for 20 years. You know, it's like Clint Eastwood smokes about 4 packs of cigarettes a day. You know, it's like we
Yep.
gotta count on him not to croak it for 20 years. Like that's absurd.
And it's funny you were saying previously in terms of like things that are like sort of shot on a potato for $30.
Yeah.
I was speaking with my mother actually earlier today because she just rewatched all the Saw films, the Saw
Oh
movies,
yeah, yeah.
and like the budget on the first Saw movie was literally nothing.
Yeah, well,
Um,
there's all those movies they don't think will do well, and then all of a sudden, like
Look what
Napoleon
it's created.
Dynamite, dude, like that was
Yeah,
one. Yeah, that was. I think the budget was like 40 grand or something ridiculous, like
great and
180 grand or something.
absolutely cult
Yeah,
classic as well. Now,
incredible. Yeah.
but yeah, movies do like I think, and it comes all sort of full circle to that telling of a great story.
Mm-hmm.
And I think sort of with a movie, if it's shit, like for instance, I love Aliens. So Aliens, cult classic, Sigourney Weaver,
Mm-hmm.
unbelievable. And then they made Prometheus,
I haven't seen that.
and it's almost like a prequel to
Gotcha.
Aliens, and they set it up so well, and then it just there was no substance to it whatsoever. And I'm thinking, you've got millions, you've got Michael Fassbender in it, all these awesome actors, and you drop the fucking ball,
Well,
and it
it's
really
easy.
annoys me.
It's easy, dude. Tarantino says it to this day, and I agree with him that the only sequel, the only trilogy that ever held up was that Clint Eastwood, Good, the Bad, the Ugly, Fistful of Dollars, Few More Dollars.
Mm,
Like that, like those were the only, and I think it must have been because it wasn't based off of the same. It was based in the same world, but not the same characters each time. So
yes,
there was a new story to be told every time. Like a lot of the times, you get like a sequel or and this is something that I've run into with songwriting as well. Like because I prefer songs that tell a story more than
mm,
anything, But it's hard when pretty much every story has ever been told, sort of
true,
thing. So you have to find a new way to sort of tell those stories or tell a story that is timeless in a way that you wouldn't expect it. So
mm,
I just wrote this song probably about 3 weeks ago that I'm about to record next week. I'm going back to Nashville to record an album, and it's this song I wrote called the hell is it called? The Man with No Name. Yeah, I don't remember it. I
You've
write
got
too
so
much.
many, yeah.
Dude, I write too much to recall anything. It's one of my big downfalls is when I get on stage, I got to have a big book of my songs up there because I can't remember anything. Um, but the story is this story about it starts with it opens up on a man sitting on church steps waiting for the priest to come in to confess, with his gun hanging down to the floor, sort of thing. And then I decided from there I wanted to tell the rest of the story. I wanted to start with the ending of the story at the
Mm,
beginning so I can like let something wrap back around to that. So then I then go into like, there's a man who goes into the man with no name goes into a bar of what is it? Of gamblers and bandits and bent ranger stars, and then just kind of keep going through that. And eventually he shoots this man who spits in his face, sort of thing, and kills the man. And he didn't care that he killed the man that he shot, but the bullet passed through and hit the woman behind him.
Wow.
So he goes back and he tells he's waiting at the church steps for the priest to come in that morning. And it's hard to try to find a way to tell a story when pretty much every trope has been done before. Like
Yeah.
I started developing this one Western opera that I just recorded back in June, but me and my partner that helped me write the songs for it, we've decided to sit on it a couple of years till, because it's not something we want to cold start. It's a
Hmm.
but it's a story. It's and I'm if I could just take a second and put the guitar down, I would sit down and write the book myself for it, because it's a concept I've been working on for now close to 5 years, and yeah, hell, I'm gonna tell you now. So no, because I'm pretty proud of this story. Um, but it opens on, it's the story is surrounding these three characters, and it's the story of the drunken lawman who I named him Johnny Law. I thought that'd be clever. And then the outlaw character, the innocent outlaw, who's named Ponyboy. What do I name him? Ponyboy something. I don't know. He goes by Ponyboy in the song, which I got the inspiration from The Outsiders, which is a very formative book
Yeah. Yeah.
for when I was growing up. And then the wife of the drunken lawman by the name of Juliet. Romeo and Juliet. I figured, just, I like taking things from different things and
Yep.
cramming them all into one. Just like cram a whole bunch of other ideas in your head as well. So while you're thinking about it, because immediately you hear about a woman in a story named Juliet, you're like, there's going to be some sort of romance problem.
So, so
you know,
somebody's gonna die.
exactly. And that's the thing that was the hardest for me to figure out in this story, was how to make somebody die in a way that hadn't been told.
Hmm.
So the story opens up or the album opens up with talking about the town that they live in. It's this town called Hangman. It's this beautiful town on a mountain close to the eye of God, where bandits and gamblers, they stay far away because they don't want to be that close to God, because of how holy and wonderful of a city that it is, and that it's a city that's run so sternly by the law, and there's truly nothing wrong with it for the most part. But when you have a city like that that's so sternly run by the law, there's generally one person that's unhappy, and that's the wife of the lawman, the neglected wife of the lawman, Juliet. um, so I give a little bit of background to the character of so all the while, I should probably give this as a preliminary thing. I kind of develop the characters together in their own separate timelines as the album goes on.
Yeah.
So while this is kind of being talked about, there's the next narrative, which is about the outlaw Ponyboy, and the I think the first song that mentions him on the album, or that talks about him, is this. We did a cover of a Marty Robbins song. I'm not sure if you're hip to him.
No. No.
Oh man, you gotta.
I'll
I'll.
make a note.
But Marty Robbins, man, he's like the true Western songwriter of history. He wrote this incredible song called "The Master's Call," which is about an outlaw who's running with his band of bandits, who just rustled up some cattle, and then this huge storm happens in the middle of the desert. There's nowhere to flee, there's nowhere to hide, and a lightning bolt shines down or flashes down and hits a tree, and a cross appears, and he sees the face of Jesus Christ in the sky, and his horse
Whoa.
starts running and it bucks him off, and he falls, and he's sitting there thinking, oh, I'm gonna die for sure, and the stampede misses him, and the lightning hits 100 head of cattle, and they all die, and he hides behind them. And I really love this story because it's this man who decides that he's going to turn himself to God after having this 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 horrible outlaw life, and I'd known this song forever, and I'd written the story already, and I was like, we need like a good cover for the song that people would know, can register with, but we also need it to fit in with the story. So I realized like, oh my god, this is the perfect song to for our character of Ponyboy, who's the innocent outlaw. He's the outlaw who comes to this town of Hangman to to become a better man, to be a better man, sort of thing. But all the while he's in this town, he finds himself in a bar one night, and a ranger there who just lost his son was drinking at the bar, and he yells at the barkeeper to go get him a drink, and the barkeeper leaves, and in a drunken rage, the ranger shoots himself and kills himself. And then when the tender comes back out, he sees Ponyboy run over or standing over the man who's dead, a known outlaw in this town, and he's blamed for the murder of this man.
Wow.
So he has to run and flee town. And then I decide to dip into the Juliet character, who, after feeling neglected for so long, she writes a note to Johnny Law and says, "I can't do this anymore. I'm leaving." And I figured if two people are running away, they might as well meet each other, and it's a guy and a gal, so they might as well fall in love with each other. And when you think about it, it makes sense for this character of Juliet, who'd been with the stern lawman her whole life, rigid,
Yeah, yeah.
structured. Then you find this injured, beautiful soul who's trying to redeem himself and prove himself a good man, with passion inside of him. And so they run off together, and eventually Johnny Law puts two and two together, and he goes to track them down, and he has his vendetta ride and rides across the desert, and he rides for days and days, and eventually he can't find him, and his horse gets tired and trips and falls and throws him from it, and his leg breaks. And in that sort of situation, generally it's a death sentence sort of thing. And so Johnny Law sits there and he pleads to God, but God doesn't respond to him, but rather who responds to him is death. And death comes to him and says that I'll mend your leg as long as you never bring another tear to her eye. And he agrees, and he mends his leg, and then he decides, and he gives him water, and then sends them on their way to the next town. And well, once he gets into town, he stops at the first saloon. As I think a lot of men in the 1800s would have done at the time. After a brush with death, and inside the saloon, he hears two lovers laugh, and it almost feels at him because of the purity of it. And he peers through the bar window, and he sees it's Juliet and Ponyboy. So he storms in with his gun raised to his table and says, "Pony, I know you've got your rights, but that's my woman sitting there." And Ponyboy jumps out of his chair and tries to plead with him and says, "I understand. I'm sorry, but we love each other." And at that moment, Johnny Law, he looks over to Juliet and sees the passion that she has for this man, for this innocent outlaw, and it all sort of comes to him that he isn't the man that he thought he was, and that it's time to let this woman go. He's already brought her so much pain in her life, and at that moment a tear starts to swell in her eye, and he realizes this just isn't worth it. So he lowers his gun to his hip, and once he drops his guard, Juliet grabs the gun of Ponyboy and shoots Johnny Law 6 times, and Johnny Law falls to the floor, and with his last bit of anger towards this world, he feels he's been cheated. He shoots Ponyboy and kills him dead right there.
Wow.
And once the smoke clears in this room, there's just a woman in there, the bartender, smoke and blood on the floor. And now she can see on the floor, she can see her past and her future, and neither exist anymore. So she grabs Ponyboy's revolver, puts a new shell in it, and places it to her chest and fires. And that's where the album ends. It ends with a song called Eight Cold Shells. And
Wow.
yeah.
That's awesome, brother. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, this is like my first time like really talking about it with somebody other than my producer and my buddy who helped me write the songs. So yeah,
That's
man.
amazing.
I'm glad you like it, man.
I'll be waiting on tenterhooks for it to
Yeah,
be released because
yeah,
that
no, it's exciting, man.
that story, yeah, like you said, the sort of aim of story. We are a storytelling species.
Oh
That's
yeah.
how you know. However, you look at the things that have shaped society, religion, and cultures, whether that be Egyptian culture, Aztec culture, Almec culture, whatever it may be. It's all been handed down through stories and
Mm-hmm.
interpretations of stories, and um, I think there's a book I'm honestly useless for names, but I remember all the bits of information. Um, but I've been reading it recently. I say reading, listening to it because I'm that busy that I generally read it. It's *Sapiens* by Yuval Noah Harari.
Okay.
Um, and it's a really there's a passage in the book that talks about what makes us in terms of all the Homo species, whether that be Homo erectus, Neanderthalis, or all the Neanderthals and Homo sapiens. What makes us different? What makes us the ones that survived, the ones that sort of made it this far when none of them did? And they used a car company. I can't even remember if they have Peugeot over in
Oh,
America.
here we might. I
Yeah,
don't know. I don't think so.
yeah. so so basically, let's take Chevrolet. So yeah, I know
Yep,
you've got Chevrolet over
we
there.
do in
So
fact have that.
he uses a car company as an explanation of why we're so successful. And one of the reasons is um, if Chevrolet fired all its members of staff today, tomorrow Chevrolet would still exist.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if they then decided to fire all their board members the day after that, so there would nobody worked for in Chevrolet at all, Chevrolet would still exist.
Mm-hmm.
If the day after they took all the Chevrolet cars off the roads, Chevrolet, all the factories away from Chevrolet, there was no badges or anything in sight, Chevrolet would still exist.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if a judge signs a piece of paper, Chevrolet ceases to exist.
Hmm.
And it's that consensus or that agreement upon an idea or a premise of an idea. And I think that's what we get through storytelling is the fact that nobody will be able to listen to that album and not not relate to at least one of them characters.
Yeah, so I appreciate you saying that because the way that I like broke this or wrote this record is each song tells a portion of the story, but each song tells its own story as well on its own and can stand alone comfortably on its own. And that was something that like I really I spent 5 years coming up with the idea for this album. I'd written a few of them, and then I had a friend, my friend John Carlo Letizia. I met him at Connecticut College, and we just instantly clicked. He came by. I want to say maybe back in March, and he was like, because he's an excellent pedal steel player, an excellent guitar player, and he's an excellent linguist. His creative writing is incredible. I truly do appreciate him. And he's like, "What are you working on, man?" I'm like, "Well, I'm always working on stuff." And he's like, "Do you have any like big projects, sort of thing?" And I was like, "You know what? Actually, let me run this idea by you." And he was like, "Dude, let's do that. Let's write that right now." And I was like, "Well, okay, I got the bones for, I think I had the bones for, I think I'd written like 5 of the 11 songs fully. And then I had bones for maybe another 4 or 5 of them. But a lot of them were a mess, and like we needed
Mm.
to go through them. And then we stayed up all night that night and just wrote the entire rest of the album. Cause it's like, I already knew what I wanted to say. It was just about finding the words to say
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
And then we got to the point where the last song before the second to last song is like this real long song where it's more of a spoken word sort of song where it tells that portion of the story from when Johnny Law mends his leg to Juliet killing herself. It tells that whole chunk in that period. And I'm like, man, that's a lot there. It's like we need something to kind of like just like something that you can lean back on afterwards and just kind of enjoy. And a couple of weeks previously, I'd written this song called Six Cold Shells. And yeah, Six Cold Shells. I had no idea what it was. I was like, six cold shells lay on the floor, and I lay with them too. Six cold shells lay on the floor. Um, from a shootout in the bar room, and I didn't think of anything of it. And then I'm like, holy shit, this is our ender. Like, there's 8 shots that are fired in that bar scene. So I was like, change one word and we got our ender for this sort of thing. And
That's awesome.
yeah, so it was just it was like very serendipitous sort of situation, because like
Yeah.
he's one of my brothers, one of my closest friends, and I truly love this kid, and I think he is a marvel at one thing that he does really well. So I have a hard time with writing with other people, that I have a hard time writing with people I don't like.
Mm.
Um, because a lot of the time they want to just like a lot of songwriters, and when I say songwriters, I'm talking specifically in like the publishing world. They want to
Hmm.
write something that they think other people are going to like, not necessarily that they connect with, that's true to them,
Yeah,
sort of
yeah, yeah.
thing. And one thing that JC does really well is he just keeps telling me to keep going, just keep talking, keep writing, keep saying something, like what is like, and then he'll challenge me, be like, I don't like that. And normally I'm the one that challenges people. And like, he's this Italian fella from like his family's all Long Island. And then he grew up in Connecticut. So he'll get in your face about an idea or something he doesn't agree with. And I appreciate that. I need that with somebody that I'm going to work with. And it was just a serendipitous moment where we just were like, I was like, you know what? If I'm gonna write this with anybody, it's gonna be this guy. He's one of my closest friends, and we came up with this project, and then I connected with this one producer through a very good friend of mine in Nashville, and he was like, shoot me over some demos. We talked about the project. I gave him like the scope of what it is that we want to do. And like, I shot him over the demos for it. And he was like, man, this is awesome. Is there anything else about it? And I'm like, well, I'm also, the big thing about this is I want to pitch this to a record label that has large associations in film, because I'd love to develop this into a film of some
Yeah.
sort, as well as like, I want to write a book at some point in my life. And I've already written the story, so I might as well put a few more words to do it that don't have a melody behind it. Um, so it's a very special project to me. I truly had no anticipation of talking about this, because it's been one of those things that we've just agreed to back burner until I've
Yeah.
got a larger platform to kind of promote it on, because he's a full-time lawyer. Like he's not in the music space, and we want this thing to be heard by people. And
It's
I got to do some footwork before
but
that.
I think it's one of those that in terms of, you were talking about running through the thicket until you get
Mm-hmm.
to like sort of a meadow or a clearing and
Mm-hmm.
a short grass field and whatever. And I think, you're right. I agree in terms of it's got to be right and it's got to feel right in terms of release. But at the same time, when it's similar to the only thing I can liken it to that has sort of been creative in this instance is the podcast that I've sort of created from scratch. I've done
Mm-hmm.
everything, whether that be, I built the website myself, I built all the graphics myself, I do the platform, I've done all the guest outreach myself, as you got the message from me
Yes, I did.
directly, and I think it's one of those is you'll never feel ready to do it, because obviously when things like this are creative and they're almost, you're giving away a piece of you, um
Yeah.
and but something like that, I can tell you from my personal experience, I'd be straight out to download it, buy it. It's
Oh,
it's
wonderful.
it's a piece of, it's not just a piece of music, it's a piece of art, and the subtle difference. So there's been very few sort of albums in my experience that have been sort of them pieces of art. I think Bohemian Rhapsody with Queen is one where it broke every single rule, every single mold, every single thing that people thought they wanted and knew about music, and
Mm-hmm.
it's now classed as one of the greatest albums that there's ever been written in
Mm-hmm.
history.
Oh, I couldn't agree
Um,
more.
and I think when you break the mold with something like like what you've mentioned and what you've described, and I feel really privileged that you did. Um, it's it will find its home to the point where the people that it will resonate with um, will 100% find it, because
Well,
something
thank
like
you.
that it's the way that you described it, the passion that sort of ran through when you were talking, it's something tangible. It's something sort of, you can tell there's something magical about it and something special. um so
I
yeah, I
appreciate
appreciate
that,
that.
man. Thank you. Yeah, no, I remember. So Sturgill Simpson released a record back in 2020, "The Ballad of Old Dude and Juanita," which is a similar. It's what you call a concept album, where each
Hmm.
song is connected together and it tells a narrative. And I was obsessed with that album because I'm not sure if you're versed in Sturgill Simpson's music,
No,
but
no.
he is the contemporary outlaw, the true contemporary outlaw. There's nobody that can tell him what to make. He's made honky tonk records. He's made two incredible bluegrass records. He's made this one that is just pure American art. Like just any sort of American instrument you can think or instrumentation, that would be this record. Then he made this hard rock metal record that was like his fuck you to the music industry, and then he came around to this concept album, and it was riveting because I love storytelling, and
Mm.
he's one of my favorite songwriters. He was the whole reason I went to Nashville in the first place. I was like just so thoroughly enthralled with his music, and I lived in Durham, New Hampshire that summer. I was living with a friend of mine because we had a job up there together, and I was super hungover, laying in bed, and it must have been like one of those like wake up at like 3 p.m. kind of hangover days sort of thing, and um um I just had this idea of shoot, what was the first idea for it that came to me? It was the battle between Johnny Law and Ponyboy, the innocent outlaw, and I was like, all right, there's something to be said about that. Now, what is it? And I just kind of built it out from there. But it was like this string of thoughts that just didn't stop, and it would be like one of those things I'd just be able to regularly think about. Like, all right, if there's a like there was this big plot hole that like the only plot hole in the narrative that I've caught thus far is. In the song, Jill just picks up the gun or Ponyboy's gun and shoots herself, but she'd already shot the guy 6 times, and last I checked, they didn't have 7 shooters in the day.
Pull out a
so
Glock.
yeah, exactly. So I'm like, you know what? I think that's just gonna be one of those that's assumed she reloaded it because otherwise, how the hell is she shooting herself? Kind of thing.
And it adds to that suspense as well. Like you see it.
Yeah.
It's that, yeah, you've seen it in movies, like one of Alfred. In fact, I've just finished watching the new series of Monster, where that was about Ed Gein.
Okay.
Um, I don't it, like basically the grandfather of all serial killers and stuff. But he was, what did they call him? The butcher of somewhere. I can't remember. But basically, Alfred Hitchcock, or they think Alfred Hitchcock used his story as inspiration for the Psycho movie, as
Okay.
well as Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But
Gotcha.
my point is Alfred Hitchcock. That's where my brain was going with this. Is The Birds? If you've ever watched the movie The Birds, um,
It sounds
now
familiar.
so basically the birds turn on humans and they start dive bombing and attacking, and there's an end scene in it where the all these birds are outside on the car and on the telegraph poles and wires and the fences and the roof, and
Mm-hmm.
obviously these people are trapped in this house thinking that they're going to get killed by these
Mm-hmm.
birds that have kind of turned on them. And the way he does it is so suspenseful. Like, they leave the house, and they basically, what happens is they leave the house, walk to the car, get in the car, and drive off. That is what happens. But for what seems like an age, the
Mm-hmm.
suspense as they're walking to the car, and you're thinking, "Oh my god, they're going to get any minute, any minute, any
Mm-hmm.
minute. They're gonna that's it. They're dead." And at
Mm-hmm.
the end of it, they get in the car and drive off, and nothing sort of happens.
Yeah.
But it's that masterful sort of use of that suspense, and I think, just imagine sort of, Juliet that, like you mentioned,
Yeah.
her past is dead, her future is dead, and it's that somber moment of, okay, well, I'll take the
And it
gun and I'll
exactly.
load it up,
And it
and
also makes it more of like it's less of like an impulsive thing. Like she
yeah,
had to make that conscious effort to put a new shell in and kind of thing. It's not
yeah.
less of a heat of the moment sort of thing. So whenever I get this to film, that'll be my one thing that I'm like, wait. Make
Slow
sure.
it down.
Yeah, make sure that you guys get that part because otherwise it's not gonna make any sense.
Well,
But
yeah, I
yeah.
noted down, like, talking about film and that sort of storytelling. I don't know if you've ever watched Inside Llewyn Davis with Oscar
I have
Isaac.
not, no, I've
No.
not.
Now it was also my other intro into sort of country and folk music.
Mm-hmm.
He did a cover of Dink's song, and "Hang Me or Hang Me."
Oh, yeah.
Now that song, and Green Green Rocky Road as well, which is
Mm-hmm.
another one. But that "Hang Me or Hang Me," which sounds really macabre in terms of and it is really, it's talking about the death of somebody, but such a good story throughout that song, and
Mm-hmm.
I've always been quite good at visualizing things, whether that be through meditation or whether that
Mm-hmm.
be through music. But I can see the guy up on the mountain where he made his stand, and he's got his rifle on his shoulder and a dagger in his hand, and it's that sort of simple lyrics. They are very simple lyrics,
Mm-hmm.
but so evocative. Like they evoke such a good visual representation of what.
Oh man, dude! As soon as I have a cut of the man with no name, I'm shooting it to you. All right, you'll be the first
Hundred
person to
percent.
hear it because I'm pretty proud of it. I sent it to my friend Jess, who's just a freaking badass man. She is like the most humble person I've ever met. Who is most certainly going to be the next big thing, man? Like she just keeps tripping forward and finding crazy success, and then she's like, "Eh," but I'm like, "Nah." And I'm like, what are you talking about, man? You're a killer, dude. You're an absolute murderer. Like she writes just incredible songs, excellent voice. And like she's just like so humble, just so unbelievably humble. And it's like one of those things that like gives you hope for people in general. Like, you know what? If this person could be
Yeah.
that talented and be that humble at the same time, that maybe there's hope for the rest of us kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, but there's a very few. I mean, one of my the first guest on the podcast, a guy called Carl Jones. He's a ultra marathon runner. So
Oh
I
my
don't know whether
goodness.
ultra marathons have made their way over to the States yet, but they're
Yeah,
all the
no.
rage. Um, and the life he's lived is just unbelievable. So he boxed as a youth and in
Hmm.
his youth, and he one too many punches to the head, ended up with like a traumatic brain injury.
Gotcha.
um and he struggled, lost his ability to walk properly, lost sight, like temporarily, was constantly vomiting, his mood swings and stuff, and he ended up trying to end his own life.
Ugh.
um, and then luckily he wasn't successful. Found running and exercise, and signed up for the Cardiff Half Marathon, which is in a country called Wales. Um, and then completed his first ultra marathon of 43 miles. Um, and 2 days after he completed
Oh
it,
my
he
god.
he had a stroke. Um,
Really?
yep. And then ultimately from that, recovered again, went through a dark
Good for
period,
him.
recovered again, completed a 200-mile and 100-mile marathon, coming in the top 20 in each of
Oh
those
my
events.
goodness.
Then got rear-ended at 60 miles an hour, which tore his carotid artery in his
Yeah,
neck.
yeah.
So he then started getting black spots, thinking, "Oh God, here we
Oh
go
my
again."
goodness.
And this year he's just completed 4 100-plus-mile marathons, and next year he's doing the Welsh Coastal Path, which is 870 miles in 14 days.
Oh
Now,
my god, man.
like we talk about stories, and this is
Yeah.
sort of the thing that really lights my fire with stuff like this. Is I wouldn't have ever have spoken to Carl. We live probably 5-6 hours away from one another. It was never on my radar because I don't even run for the bus. I hate
Mm-hmm.
Even on a hockey pitch, I will run, but I don't like it.
Oh yeah, no, I was a goalie in lacrosse. I'm a stationary object, man. I don't do the whole movement ordeal.
No.
Yeah, I just funny enough, I just did this big old cancer marathon walk, and God, dude, I would have rather watched everybody do it than do that again, bro. That was a horrible ordeal. I did not have a good time. I was struggling the whole time. There's one point, man, where I think it was probably around like mile 16. I must have been walking like 1 mile an hour. I'm watching like all these old folks like go flying by me with their walkers. Like they looked like they were like the Flash, just wow, who's that fucking idiot back there, man? I'm like dragging my foot. I was like just going like, oh, you fucking idiot, you're so bad at this. What are you doing, man? I was just not in a good spot, man. And then like, yeah, horrible ordeal. So I could not imagine running 100 miles, let alone like 2 or 3 miles. Like that's absurd, man.
Yeah, it's
What a guy.
unbelievable. But and that's the thing in terms of them stories.
How old is he?
That he's 43.
Oh my goodness. Do they know what the stroke was connected to?
Nope. They they
Ah,
they
God.
presume, and this was the thing with the initial traumatic brain injury is they couldn't really. He was getting seen by doctors and
Mm-hmm.
GPs, and they couldn't really give him an answer. So that's why he saw sort of taking his own life as the only way out,
Oh
because
my goodness, that's
the
horrible.
experts weren't telling him how long it's going to be or
Yeah,
whether
yeah.
he would even recover. But yeah, but the humility, like you mentioned, and that was what made me think about it when you mentioned your friend Jess, is he kept on saying throughout the episode, "I'm nothing special," and I kept on, yeah, you kind of are, because the three things that you've gone through kill people every single
Every
day,
single day.
and
Yeah.
you've survived
Oh
all
my
three of them,
God. Yeah,
and
man.
you're doing more than what most people do in their lifetime in terms of running these stupid distances.
Yeah,
Um,
dude. At what point though do you think that like, like if they ran like 64 miles, like that's good enough. like like you don't need the extra 36 to make it a whole thing,
I
man. Like
I
are you kidding me?
I just don't like. I got introduced to him. One of my good friends, Richard. He introduced me to him because he started these ultra marathons for his mental health, and it really helps him getting out of his own head. And it must be similar in terms of you when you're songwriting. It's like, you know, it's that outpouring that you think it's just letting it all out and letting it all go.
Mhm.
It's almost it must be almost a therapeutic process to an extent.
Sure, sure. But I have never once written a song and then immediately threw up everything I ate from like the past 4 days, you know? Like, that guy's crazy, man. Good on
Honestly,
him, man. By golly.
unbelievable. Like they are
Yeah.
amazing people. And one of my other friends, Ollie, he's just completed his first, which was uh, Tower to Castle, which was 30 odd miles. And it's just, you know, when did a marathon, which is 25 miles, stop being enough? Like
Yeah. Oh,
that
dude.
should be enough.
Norm, are you familiar with Norm MacDonald?
Not
A
possibly,
comedian, a Canadian
Possi
comedian. Okay, yeah,
possibly.
he's one of my heroes in life. I think he's just one of the funniest people. He passed away probably I think in 2020. Um, but he talks about this sort of. And I think he's on Letterman back in like the late 90s or something like that, and he's talking about how now in the Olympics, the guy who wins the triathlon, right? He gets a gold medal, and then the guy that also walks fast, he gets a gold medal. like, he should get like a sticker or a stick or something, like at some point, like you're not the same, like that's not the same athlete,
Yeah.
like that's absurd though, man. Several 100-mile marathons.
Well, he was due to do six, but because he's got his focus on next year, this world record of 870 miles, he was like, "I'm not going to do the last two because I want to be good." And it's like, well, yeah, I think you're all right. I think four is enough. You know,
870 miles, dude. Oh my God. That's,
if well, I said at the end, I said, you know what, I would come and support you, but I couldn't even be bothered to drive next to you while she did it
yeah,
for that
God, no.
long.
Are you kidding me? The gas you'd spent on that, man?
Oh,
That'd be a fortune in its own.
That's
That
it.
just
That's
sounds
it.
horrible. Funny enough, are you familiar with like David Goggins, those sorts of
Yes.
fellows?
Well, that
Yeah.
we talk about. He's one of David Goggins basically saved Carl's life. That was the
Oh
person
wow,
that
that's wonderful.
he latched onto in terms of that mentality.
Yeah. I had
Um,
an interesting conversation about him with that friend that I wrote the concept record about the other day. And like, it kind of came down to this point of like, why why do all of it if you're not getting enjoyment from life? Like he kind of puts out this energy of like do what their discipline over enjoyment sort of thing. And there's apparently all these accusations from his daughter about him being a neglectful father and all these things that,
mm.
and it's just like, how imagine the toll that must take on just your everyday life of being that kind of person, like that is running a marathon every day of the week kind of thing. Like that,
I've always
it
thought
must
that
be a hard life. Yeah.
with people like Tony Robbins and stuff like you know, at, at what point do you switch off? At what point
Yeah. Yeah.
do And I think I can't even remember whether it was on an episode or not, but somebody mentioned to me recently about choose your difficult, choose your fear,
Mm-hmm.
choose your everybody has the opportunity. If something's hard, like, so for instance, um today I'm playing against a lot younger guys that are a lot faster, a lot fitter. Um, but I really enjoyed it. I chose my difficult.
Mm-hmm.
That was the thing that I chose to do, and I think a lot of people don't actively choose what their difficult thing is, and I think if they did, like for instance, it's not ever going to be 100% easy all the time when you sit down to write a song, and you will get writer's block like everybody else does, and you
Mm-hmm.
will get stuck on something. I started writing a novel 4 years ago. I got 17 chapters in and hit a brick wall and thought, and I haven't touched it since.
Mm.
um and I think it's one of those where if the result is worth it, that means choose your difficult. And I suppose whatever Goggins gets from what he does personally, whether that be the fame, whether that be the notoriety, whether that be
Mm-hmm.
that personal achievement, or whether that be the mental toughness, or that, like you said, discipline, it might be a kick for him in terms of, yeah, I beat my own sort of inner critic and my inner demon today again, and I'm still on top, and I'm still sort of ruling my own life. If whatever he gets from that is worth it, then he will continue to choose that element of difficult.
Yeah,
Um,
no, certainly. It's just it must be such a hard life, like
mm,
like imagine, like this isn't trying to be funny, but like imagine trying to be friends with a guy that disciplined, that serious, It's like it's got to be tough. Like I feel like he's
yeah,
got so few things to like really relate with people outside of what he does like on a
yeah.
day-to-day basis. So,
I think that goes for a lot. In terms of people that are the people that generally make it to the top in
yeah, yeah.
whatever area that or whatever industry that they're in, it is always generally
That's a very good
obsessive.
point. That's a very, very good point. Yeah.
And I found myself this week, like, a couple of, obviously, the British sense of humor, which is generally friends sit round a table for an hour and take the piss out of one another, and
Oh
just
God, I was hoping
that.
all week since you hit me up that you would say that sentence.
Yeah, that's all they do.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
sit
yeah,
after hockey. I sat around today 2 hours, and all we did was take the piss out of each other for an hour, and that's the sort of bonding
yeah,
that
yeah,
we
yeah.
do. And I think if you're not, if to get to that sort of level, that obsessiveness, I've said to um, my friends, hockey friends, quite a lot, like, oh yeah, podcast launches at this date, podcast is doing this, and now it's got to the point is, oh, you're starting a podcast. You should have said, you haven't said that you're starting a podcast. And it's just because it becomes so obsessive to the point where it's like, that's, I'll be um sat round whilst they're talking about the game, and I'll be thinking, oh well, for instance, I'm speaking to Avry later, so what, I've talked about I've got a big list of things that I was interested in that I wanted to speak to you about, and then I add things to it and I take things away, and whilst I'm sat there, that's what I'm sort of obsessing over.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think anybody that sort of wants to get to the top or the pinnacle, or um, be the best that they could possibly be in the chosen area, they have to have that sort of level of obsession.
Absolutely. No,
Um,
you have to. If you're gonna, if you just want to be like the boilerplate good at something, like there's lots of people that are good at things,
mhm.
but it's like to really stand out and to be something else, you got to be willing to do what other people necessarily aren't. So this is something that I sort of struggle with because I'm very open to performing, sort of thing, but I
Mm.
don't perform very often because the setting in which I perform, I'm very particular on. Like, I don't want to just go play to some bar where folks are drinking and they want to hear covers of bar songs. I'd rather be sitting in like a listening room sort of situation where people are there to actually take in what they're consuming. And because of that, I don't play out as much as I would like to. But but it's almost like there's an arrogance to it, and I'm aware of it, but it's also like I'm just not willing to do that. I'm very comfortable with waiting for the proper opportunities to
Mm.
come about with that. I'd rather spend my time than just writing and creating songs for those opportunities when I get to sit down with those people in that audience.
I wouldn't label it as arrogance. I think many people may label it as arrogance, but I think to be particular with something, which is probably the better way to describe it, is the fact that it shows a level of care and understanding for your art and for your creativity that if you show it that reverence, other people are likely to show it that reverence, rather than you know I've been to, and this is the thing, I've been to so many gigs where people get absolutely smashed at the bar and they're
Mm-hmm.
not really listening, and no, I've been in a gig where somebody said, oh, now we're going to play an original song, and then all you get is
Crowd just
boo.
leaves.
Yeah. and
Yeah.
and the thing is then ultimately that is so fickle and so fragile to the point where, for you might have been playing for 2 hours, none of that was real.
Mm-hmm. Well, but
And
then there's also those folks that really do love just the act of performing. But for
yeah,
me, I'd rather. There's a difference between being a performer and an artist, and I'd rather take more time to develop the artist side than that. Which, granted, there is an element of the artist side that does come down to can you perform, but I'd much rather spend the time developing that bone, that muscle in me,
mm.
sort of thing.
I suppose performing will probably take care of itself as well if you get all them, the lyrics right and the arrangement
Mm-hmm.
right and the story right.
Mm-hmm.
Performance will sort itself out. It doesn't.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you don't need to practice that. In a sense, you don't need to practice it. I mean, but whilst you're writing, you're constantly sort of performing again and again, making sure it sounds
Absolutely.
right. And yeah, so
I just get more enjoyment out of that
mm,
personally. Like, it's great to be told that you're great at something, but at the end of the day, like I spent so long being that ego driven person when I was a little cross player, like doing all of these things for the moments of being told how good you are, that it's like, you fall out of love with the thing. It's like I'd rather just take the time to love every second of what it is that I'm saying than to love the way it sounds, if that makes sense.
yeah, it does. It does. I get what you
Yeah.
mean. But yeah, so currently, are you mentioned like producer and so on and so forth? Are you
Yeah.
currently independent? You're not signed to a label or anything along
No,
those
no, no. I'm
lines?
not signed to anybody. I'm an independent artist. You get like, people that'll throw you a bone, say, "Hey, I'm from this label. I've signed so and so, and we want to talk with you." And then they're like, "All right, come on in, come have a meeting." And I'm like, "Okay." And you come in and you have a meeting. And you're like, they're like, show me some songs, and you show them some songs, and it's just fucking crickets, you know. Like, how come you didn't sound like the other guy that we already have signed that's making millions of dollars for us already? And it's
Mm.
like, well, I thought you wanted something different than that. So, you know, it's a tough one, man. But honestly, the independent route's really it's a really interesting route, because there's so much that artists can do these days for themselves that they've never been able to do. And like, yeah, dude, there's a lot of people that bitch and moan about how hard things are. A lot of artists that bitch and moan about how hard things are. And uh, granted, yeah, a lot of things are hard. And that's not to be, say, belittled, but it's also better than it's ever been. Like,
Mm.
there's never been a time when you could just put your phone up. You don't even have to be able to record it on a microphone, kind of thing. You take a video of yourself, and then 500,000 people can see it out of
Yeah, yeah.
nowhere, kind of thing. That's never happened unless you are already signed, giving your soul away to some company, you know. And then like, that's never happened before, you know. But people like to bitch and moan. Like, I was just telling my buddy Joshua this the other day. The mankind's three favorite things to do are bitch, moan, and fuck. Like, aside from that, like, everything else is just way further down the line, man. Like, there's
Yeah.
always something to complain about, but like, it's a really cool wild west that's sort of existing right now with streaming. And granted, you know, you don't get paid very much for streams, but you also, there's never going to be an amount that feels good enough to get for something that you've created that means something to you.
Yeah, I think that sort of one thing that I've changed complete perspective on over the,
Mm-hmm.
especially over the past sort of 3 years, is what a lot of people do, and everybody still does, and society has kind of molded us into doing that, is placing value. It's always got a monetary value.
Mm-hmm.
Something, my time is I don't get it back. So, for instance, the last actual employment job that I had, I mentioned at the interview stage,
Mm-hmm.
my first priority is my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
That's number one.
It's wonderful.
And so it should be. Every father should be
Absolutely.
that way out. And so I said, if she needs me, she comes first. The job takes second place. And the response was, well, my company is my number one priority. And it was like, well, yeah, because it's your company. Now, if you want to sign over 50% of that company to me, then it might come high up on my priority list, probably close to my daughter, but it'll come
Mm-hmm.
up on my priority list. Um, and I think what people do is they place such priority on the wrong things. Whether that be, you see it now in terms of with with my daughter, because obviously she's got a finger on the pulse and she's hip and down with the
How
kids,
old is
and
she now?
she's 10 next month.
Oh man, so she's
Um,
like at that age where she's getting thoughts. Like, she's like
oh
thinking them,
yeah,
yeah, you know, like
oh
she's
she
thinking them, and she's learned to say them too.
well, upstairs she's got an electric drum kit. She sings
Wonderful,
constantly.
wonderful, man.
She hockey mad. She horse rides. She's got her own YouTube channel where she goes climbing
Oh,
on up mountains
oh, wonderful.
and whatnot. And it's like that the creativity that I've always had. That
Mm-hmm.
I kind of subdued for so many years, is she's full to the brim with it, even more so. So it's
Mm-hmm.
also, and she's probably helped me in a roundabout way to sort of recapture that youthful sort of not giving a shit. I
Yeah, man, it's important. It's very
yeah.
important, dude. There's this a friend of mine that I met when I was going to school in New Jersey. He's possibly my closest friend from then. He runs a media marketing company, and like, he started it himself. Like, you know, accrued a shit ton of debt right out of college, and then just put everything he has into this company. He's doing great now. Like, I'm so proud of him, dude. He's like a fucking golden retriever. He's so positive. It's unbelievable, dude. Every time I talk with him, man, I feel like an awful cynical person, because I'm just like, you are so positive. It is beautiful, but like it's like, how are you this happy all the time, man? Like it's crazy to me, dude. And but like his big thing is like, dude, like you gotta be like, you treat every activity that you're doing like you're playing. You gotta like find the joy in
That
what you're
play,
doing.
yeah.
Yeah, it's so crucial. Otherwise, you're just some miserable, sullen fool, peddling money for Mr. Who's It What's It up at the big firm, it's
Yeah.
and you're
That
miserable. You don't want that.
Well, it was. I've mentioned it on a previous
Mm-hmm.
episode. I was having a little bit of a crisis of confidence before this kicked off. I booked all the guests, or well, not all of them because there's a hell of a lot more than what I had at the time. But I think I had about 13, 14 guests at the time. We're now up to like 32, and I was like, it was driving in the car, and Esme, my daughter, was next to me, and I was sort of struggling, and I was thinking, who am I to sort of speak to these people? I'm just a working class lad from northwest England, and I you know these people are doing amazing things like yourself and Carl and all my other guests, and I was having that sort of imposter syndrome sort of go around in my head, and I thought, you know what, I'll get her point of view on it, and I'll ask what I said. Look, this is what I'm feeling. And I explained, and I said, what would you do? What would your thought process be? And her precise words were, and I don't know whether you know of the UK Prime Minister called Keir Starmer.
I do not, man. We got
but
enough
but
going on over here.
yeah, true. But she said, well, Keir Starmer's an idiot, and he's running a country.
Oh man, dude, you got a smart kid, dude.
And I
That's
was like,
crazy, man.
holy shit, she's right. Like,
Yeah. Well, like
and
I think
ever
it's
since then it just dissipated. All that sort of imposter syndrome's
yeah.
just gone.
Well, I think at some point, like, probably around our teenage years, um, we sort of develop this other voice in our head that isn't just our voice. It's what we think other people are thinking, or other people,
Yes.
like, what they're thinking about, what they think of us. And it just kind of sits there like stewing in the back of the head, and it then eventually becomes the voice that takes hold, because that's the voice of reason. The
Yeah.
reasonable voice is the one that does the things that make sense, kind of thing. So I mean, like there's this very important part of life that I think is taking back that or like reclaiming that childlike attitude towards the world, and or at least towards yourself. It's important, like take yourself, or take life seriously, not yourself, kind of thing.
I like
And
it.
yeah,
Yeah. It's
you
that
know
childhood abandonment of like, I've done it recently. I do it. You know what? When it helps is like, when it starts raining.
mm-hmm.
And I don't know whether you get a lot of rain
Oh, we
where
get,
you
man,
live.
we get enough.
However, we live in England, and it's
You get plenty, I'm sure.
yeah, it's pissing
Yeah.
down for about 10 months out of 12.
Uh,
Um, so what I do when it rains now is most people generally, when it rains, is they cover up and they get
mm-hmm.
the coat on and they run inside and they get to shelter. Um, and that was me. That's what I used to do. Now what I've sort of tried to do and remember is just relax. It's just water. Like
Yeah, dude.
I would have played out in this when I was younger. I would have
Mm-hmm.
gone out with my friends and built tree houses or whatever it may be. I'd have played football in it all day long, or soccer for
Yeah,
in
no, that's all right.
your.
I understand the respect. I've seen Ted Lasso, so I understand it's
Oh
football.
yes.
Yeah.
Now there is a piece of TV.
Yeah, dude.
Brilliant.
Dude, that is the best feel good show I think that has ever
Oh,
existed, man.
if
Just the
if
best, man.
anybody wants sort of a window in how to be a good person, watch that show.
Yeah, Ted
Watch that
Lasso,
show.
all through and through, man. That is such a killer show. But I like what you
Yeah.
said about the rain, dude, because it's like that is something that's true. Like, and it's like at the end of the day, like, so many people make this big ordeal about like, ah, shit, I'm gonna get rain on my clothes and my hair. It's like, yeah,
Who gives a shit?
it's rain, bro. It's okay. Like
Yeah.
it's water falling from the fucking sky. Yeah, that's a pretty, yeah, dude. That happens. So thank God it happens. Like,
And it's like I keep skin's waterproof. Your skin
mm-hmm.
is waterproof. Don't worry about it. It's just clothes. It's just water. It's not like someone's raining sewage on you. It's
Yeah, yeah. We're not in
it's
New
it's
York or something.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
it's awesome. So what I use when it does start raining, it's like just relax. I don't need to run anywhere. Just
yeah.
enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
unless I'm carrying around a guitar, then I'm a little concerned. You
well,
know,
yeah.
yeah, you got a nice Martin. You don't want that getting all soggy. That doesn't do
I
you no good.
you, you know what? It's always been on my list to sort of try and learn. And musically, I I I sing every now and again, not
Nice,
publicly, but I enjoy sort of singing, and I sing with my daughter and whatnot. And trombone was the musical instrument that I learned as a
really
child. Yeah, that was my. I was pretty decent at it as well, to be fair.
wonderful.
But I've all my father's like brilliant on the guitar, all self taught, steel six
Wonderful.
string.
Yeah.
So he's all done. He's done steel six string Spanish guitar, and he's um is it who's it Ray LaMontagne and who's the other one that he really likes? I can't remember.
Yeah.
I'll not forget. But yeah, I never sort of. I've always loved, like you said, like smoking looks cool.
Yeah, yeah,
I've
yeah.
always thought like somebody that plays the guitar, it always looks so
Oh,
cool.
dude, and then you put like a cigarette in the top where the strings are and you start playing, dude. That's ultimate cool, man.
And
That's
then
how
when you
you really do.
flick the string and then the cigarette lands in the mouth.
Yeah, dude,
Is
that
that,
one's a
that
cool
one?
one. No, but funny enough, I had like a similar thing where when I was younger, you said you played the trombone. I was like,
Mm,
all right, what can I play to like stick out, and that like, girls will like, because like, music and girls like that, I suppose. And I had like really racked my brain on it. And I'm like, I know, dude, I'll get a saxophone because
yeah.
how the girls love the saxophone. So I get the thing, and I'm like, all right, let's see how cool I'm gonna be with this thing. And you're sitting there with this like 50-pound piece of metal, and you're like, how the fuck does it looks like something from Star Wars? And then I'm like looking at myself in the mirror holding this thing, and I'm like, when am I ever gonna play this in front of a lady? Like this is
Just
who the fuck invite like you're at a party and like the guy over in the corner is there, like that's not fucking happening, man. It's the guy with the guitar. So then
yeah.
yeah, so I traded that back in. I decided this was not a worthwhile endeavor
Well,
for me.
I'll take this moment because the intro music on the pod was written by a friend of mine, a teammate of mine, Paddy Higginson, and if anybody wants to follow him, awesome, Paddy Higginson Music. He is on Instagram, and he wrote the opening credits song
Cool,
and
man.
the closing. Like a really nice grungy sort of. He plays
Mm-hmm.
guitar, really grungy electric guitar, but he is an amazing saxophone player. He goes all over the world playing at weddings and does like
Well,
all
yeah,
the
you see that
dance
guy.
tunes
That
and
guy
stuff.
gets girls with it though, 1,000,000%.
Awesome, cool,
Yeah,
yeah.
dude. That's so cool, man. My buddy back in high school, dude, he would get blackout drunk and then be laying on the floor playing "Careless Whisper" on his saxophone. Man, it would be the craziest thing. It'd be perfect,
Yeah,
And yeah, dude, the saxophone's one of those things that's like really cool when you're really good at it. But like
yeah.
that whole in between stage, man, it's like God, nobody wants to be within a country mile of you, man.
it's almost like you're playing the recorder up until you're good.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, nobody wants to be with the in a band, the person that plays the recorder.
Yeah, it's like you can be in a band with a guy that's okay at guitar, you're just like, all right, just play the chords. But if somebody's like okay at the saxophone, like nobody's coming to that thing, man. That's a horrible ordeal to attend.
so, so in terms of what does your future look like for you? Do you have a vision, or do you have an ultimate goal in the end? Is it for your music to reach its audience and grow to the
Yeah.
levels that you want and
I mean,
whatnot?
yeah, I mean, it's pretty easy to say that recognition for what you do is something that people always want. Um, but I really love this one line from the Bob Dylan movie that Timothy Chalamet said,
Oh
where
yeah.
she asked him, or where the what's her name? Sylvie, yeah, the first girlfriend in the movie.
Yeah,
She
yeah.
asks him, "What do you want?" And he says, "I want to be a musician who eats." You know, and that's kind of, at
Oh,
least
I
for
like
right
it.
now, that's kind of all I really want. Like, I just want to be able to pay my bills and be around other artists who appreciate what I'm doing. I don't care so much for like, I don't need to be told I'm good at what I'm doing. Like, I know I'm good enough that I'm happy with how with what I do, sort of thing. For me, it's just about creating the next thing. It's always just
Yeah.
about creating the next thing that stands out and says its own thing, and that says something, that is already completely known in a way that's never been told before. I think there's a lot of beauty in that, and
That
that's
was
something
beautifully put.
thank you, thank you. I think that's something that a lot of songwriters strive for. But then, then there's the checks you can get for writing the song that everybody's heard, but in a different key, sort of
Mm.
thing. And I think for me, I just want to be known as a songwriter. I want people's favorite songwriter to go, that Avry Truex, man, he's a cool cat. He writes cool songs, man. Like, I don't need, like, like, fame kind of sounds cool, but at the
Mm.
same time, it's like, God, like, you want to be, like, recognized everywhere you go. Like, that's the guy. Take a picture with me. Like, I don't want like, that doesn't sound that good to me, man. Like, that sounds like more of a hassle. Like, I'm a pretty quiet guy. Like, I've got my two friends and a dog, and most of the time, one of my friends and I, when we hang out, we say like 7 words the whole time, and like
Mm.
it's just like skip rocks, like, like, I don't. It's hard to say. Like, it's also hard to say because I've never really been presented with the opportunity for true fame or anything like that. And I'm
Mm.
sure when that comes, it's one of those things that's like, yeah, like, it's probably like a really attractive lady coming right at you. You're like, hell yeah, let's do this thing. But
But then she divorces you and takes all your money and your house
yeah, dude,
and
you see, that's a legitimate concern that I have for myself, because I am like, I've taken so much time now to, like, to be with myself, that I have completely forgotten, like, how to, like, flirt with somebody unless they are going to do like 97% of the work. And it dawned on me the other day that, golly, dude, if I don't, like, start figuring something out eventually, like, I'm gonna get famous first, and then it's like, how can
you
you
don't know
trust
who's
anybody?
real.
Yeah, how can you trust anybody
Yeah.
after that? And then you go through like 7 wives. You're like 85. You're still putting out songs with Post Malone or whatever, and you're like, yep, this 24-year-old will do it, I suppose. It's like that doesn't sound like fun. I'd rather, I want a ride or die kind of lady, and it's like,
Yep.
it's kind of hard to do when you're like, how can you trust somebody at at like an actual level? But I don't think I need to necessarily worry about that for quite a while. I think that'll come in due time. But yeah, that's like a legitimate concern that just dawned on me the other day. I was like, golly, man, you really got to stop being such a minstrel. Get out there and start a hermit, man. Get out there, man. Come on.
But it is difficult. I mean, I must admit, like, uh, I've gone through divorce.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that.
It better for everybody involved,
Wonderful.
100%.
Wonderful.
And it's, I've subsequent to that, I found my soulmate, somebody that I gel with on less than a super. It's not just a superficial level
Hmm.
of, like, she's hot and, awesome. Looks
Wonderful.
good. Looks
Yeah,
good on my arm. Blah blah blah. We're interested in the same things. We don't get me wrong. We have our arguments, as
of
every
course.
single body does. Um, but it always comes back to center with my partner. Now it's like, yes, we go a bit right, we go a bit left, and we go off piste, and we shout at each other, but then it always comes back to center. And I've never sort of had that before in a relationship, but it came when I wasn't looking.
Yeah. Well, I guess
Uh,
I should just like close my eyes everywhere I go now, because like, because man, dude, it's crazy. Like, dude, especially like, because I live back in New England now, but when I was living in the South, like, there's this stereotype of the SEC couple, which is like, SEC schools are like big Southern football schools, where you have this guy who's just like an absolute dud, and then just this beautiful, wonderful, awesome woman that like they've been together for like a decade, and it's like that. It's like I see that now, and I'm like that. I'm like the one of the Muppets, like the old Muppet men. I'm like fucking bullshit, you know, and I hate that about myself.
I think this, like, so I've said this quite a lot. I don't know. I don't think it is cynicism. As you started getting older, I don't think it's cynicism. I think you see through the bullshit to what it
Yeah.
actually is.
Yeah, no, totally. Like I'm kind of at this point now where it's like any lady that I want to talk to has got like I've got like very high standards for the type of person that I want to be with, and I'm also at this point now where I'm just like, you know, I'm kind of cool with waiting until I find somebody that meets those, you know, and that just as I think everybody should be. I think everybody should have very high standards, you
Yeah.
know, because like otherwise that's why the divorce rate's like 70% or
Oh,
whatever. Like it's crazy, man. Like
yeah.
it's a tough thing.
It's. I was speaking about this the other day with a guy called Jackson McGregor. He's a modern masculinity coach,
Okay.
and it was quite interesting. Like my my upbringing, I got brought up. My mum and dad were together, but they worked a lot, and it was my grandma and my granddad that brought me up.
Mm-hmm.
My nana and my granddad, and they were together for 60 odd years, like 60 odd years
Mm-hmm.
married. My granddad adored and worshipped the ground that my nana walked on, and she always made sure he was fed, clothes washed, house kept tidy,
Mm-hmm.
the true sort of housewife. And I think it that sort of standard, if you aim for that sort of standard of relationship, you're not going to go far wrong.
Yeah,
You're
dude,
all
that sounds pretty great. Like that
ra-
sounds pretty damn wonderful.
yeah, rather than sort of the Instagram couples that you see nowadays
Yeah.
that in 5 years' time end up hating each other. And
Yeah, well, it's crazy. Like I think that like Hollywood has really done a number on what people think is like what they want because you see
mm.
these beautiful people that are you're not realizing it, they're being paid to be together in a show, you're not thinking about it in the moment, they're being paid to be hot and to like, you know, do things and say certain things and act certain ways, and it always ends up working out because it's a movie, you know, that's how movies are, you know. So all these like all this drama and these crazy ordeals that'll happen in a movie, and then they get together at the end, they're like, oh, that's what I want. And it's like,
Yeah.
but that doesn't exist, you moron.
It's
That's
not
not how
real.
it is. It's like
Yeah.
it's never actually been like that. There's like two romances in history that are truly like that, and it's like you can't bank on that. That doesn't. Also, it's like I don't get why people are so like drawn to I understand why people are drawn to like I guess like the fiery sort of relationship kind of
hmm
thing, but it's like, you know, you got to see that that's going to burn up and then go out kind of thing.
It
And
becomes very old very quickly.
yeah, and it's of course it's a very eye catching thing at the moment, but it's I suppose it's just hard in that moment to go, yeah, this isn't going to last longer than a weekend, kind of thing, you know.
People, you want that within don't get me wrong, you want them fiery elements within your relationship
Absolutely.
because that's pure passion.
Hmm.
That's where the passion comes from. But more than fire and more than passion and even love or whatever you want that peace, you want the tranquility, you want that feeling of no matter where you are in the world, if you're with that person, it's home and you can
Hmm.
relax and you if as long as you're together, that's good. It doesn't matter
Yeah,
where we
man.
are.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's great, dude. That's a really great way to see it. But it's like, I don't know, for me, I'm a recluse. So it's like so most of the time the ladies that I'm finding are on the little magic box in my pocket on one of the apps, you know? And it's
Yeah,
like how much can you get to know about somebody, you know, through a little
yeah.
square, you know? And half the time they're like these half thought out answers to questions and things like that. It's like this is a
And
tough
and
world
who
out
knows
here.
if they're even real? Like we've all
Oh,
watched the
by
show
golly.
Catfish.
Oh,
We all
man,
know
dude.
what happens
Yeah,
when
man.
people have had a relationship with somebody for like 3 years. Go and meet him, and it's a 40 stone bloke called Terry that lives in his
Yeah.
mum's basement, and
Yeah.
you've had 3 years of relationship with the love of your life, and it's just
Yeah. Like, okay,
Crazy.
a friend of mine, she has been with her husband since she was 14. They started dating when they were both 14 in high school. And they're now, I think they're both like 31, something like that. And they've been together like this long. And like they always joke about, like, man, if we broke up, we'd be fucked. Because like they didn't have any of that adolescent dating, like learning how to do stuff. Like they just clicked and that was that, you know?
Just walking around like lemmings in the
Yeah,
dating
exactly.
pool.
Exactly, man. Like, golly, like it's a tough enough world for me to try to get around with, and you know, I don't think I don't think I'm some old dog or anything like that. But imagine that, like, God, that sounds
Yeah,
horrible.
I must admit, I can never envisage me and my partner ever separating because we just fit together
Well, that's
properly.
wonderful, man.
However, if we ever did, I don't think I'd ever look to sort of actively get back out into I passed it. I passed
Mm-hmm.
the point of caring. That sort of I'd probably buy a van, sell the house, off I go into the distance, and just travel around the world for as
Yeah.
much as I can.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that sort of the dating game nowadays must be difficult. It must be hard.
Yeah, and it's like at this point, I don't truly try at this point. Like you put like, yeah, it is a horrible game. I've decided that I'm gonna wait until she comes up to me and like says, "Hey, we're gonna fall in love." Like until then, like I don't trust anything other than that, dude. I'm not tiptoeing around. I'm not playing the "What's your favorite color" game. Like who cares about that, man? Come on, like I want to know what you think about aliens. Like,
Yeah. Oh,
you
now
know?
there is a
Yeah.
subject. Like I was talking the other week about to Seb, one of the guests on the pod about aliens, and like I've got the um a black
Oh,
of
very cool, man.
Event Horizon tattoo, and like the I that conversation, like I so this is the whole sort of fun thing. So I get to speak about this with other people. My missus has heard this so many times. So whenever I start the subject on Egypt was built out by aliens and it was an alien gateway and soul projector, and she's like, "Here we go again."
Yeah. Yeah, man.
but that sort of that conversation, yeah, you've got to have them sort of conversations. If you
Yeah,
don't
man.
have them deep, meaningful conversations with your partner, then it kind of it can become stale and boring pretty quickly.
Absolutely, man. And it's like, what do you do? Like, if you're somebody that believes in aliens and you meet somebody that doesn't believe in aliens, like, you believe in aliens? No? Well, there goes fucking 40 minutes of conversation. Like, I don't know what like, okay, like, how was your day, I suppose? Like, you gotta, like, have somebody that you mesh with. Otherwise, you're dating the color beige, you know? It's
Oh,
like,
but yeah, pure
yeah.
magnolia.
Yeah, dude, like that doesn't sound
Oh,
like too good a time, man.
uh, no, definitely not,
Yeah.
100%. Um, but I tell you what, brother, I could speak to you all day. It's been awesome. I massively appreciate you. I think what you're doing with music is something that I've never sort of seen before. Um, and the sort of passion that you have for it really comes through, one, in your music and in your tracks, but two, the way that you tell that story, like we mentioned, it yeah, it transcends what typical music or the genre that you sort of you're placed in terms of country and folk and so on and so forth. It transcends that genre to the point where it's more like musical storytelling than it is a track, if that
Well,
makes
thank
sense.
you very much, man. I greatly appreciate you saying that.
Yeah, it's awesome. And if anybody wants to check you out, where do they find you?
Yeah, you can find me on any social media platform at Avry Avrytruex, and then for all my streaming services, it's the exact same name, Avrytruex, and Yeah, man, just come and listen for a tune, I suppose. And if you don't like me after that, then you can leave. That's fine. But if you don't, tell you what, if you don't like what you hear in that tune, then message me what you don't like in that tune, and then I'll send you one that you will like
There
personally.
you go. That
Yeah.
and you can't get a fairer offer than that.
Right, man? Because then it's like you get your own little personalized thing, let alone it'll be just
Yeah.
the same track I send everybody.
I love it. Thank you very much, brother. Thank
Yeah,
you,
man.
everyone,
Thank
for
you.
tuning in, and see you all next time.
Take care.